Welcome everyone to Jimmy John's Field for the USPBL playoffs presented today by our credit union. It's the first game of 3. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Today the Westside Woolly Mammoths take on the home Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers here today in Utica, Michigan. Jeremy Otto alongside Dan Griesbaum Jr. to bring you the call here today from the United Shore Media Desk at our Crest Lincoln pregame show. So how we got here, we've talked about the push to the playoffs all of September. Everybody was sort of reseeded. The records from the first half of the season, a regular season, ditched in sorts, but everything shook out the way it would have if things would have ended then, and or if you just take the records from where they would have been.
Water tends to find its level in baseball, I guess. It just proves that we were kind of in good shape to begin with, I suppose, and it made it more exciting, though, and I think the Unicorns proved to sort of be the class of the league overall, especially with the pitching, but it's not over. They still got one more win. This thing's not over yet.
And I promise this is Jeremy and that's Dan. We just look a little different, but
it's playoff
this is how we actually look when we look professional, right?
That's right. This is it. It's a big time.
But you look at these two teams and their body of work thus far. They haven't played each other since September 4th. It's remarkable to say that, but just the way the schedule has stacked and the way that September schedule stacked overall, that's the reality. And maybe if you're a guy like Garrett Crispin or Ben McKendall, because those hitters haven't faced these pitchers in a row, maybe that helps.
That's very possible. You know, it's an unusual thing, especially for this league. That doesn't happen very often. There's some things that you can look back on from games between these two clubs that'll be interesting to follow today. Who knows if they'll, play out to really be important or not. Obviously, most of the games where they played each other were a long time ago, so it may or may not be relevant. But there's been a lot of good pitching really on both sides between these two clubs when they've played against each other in the past. I think a lot of those signs point to maybe a low-scoring game today, but who knows if it'll really play out that way or not.
Take a look at your starting lineups brought to you by AAA of Michigan, as always. First for the visiting Westside Woolly Mammoths here today, it's Alec Olden leading off and playing third base for Paul Nickenbrugger's squad. We see Lamar Briggs move up in the lineup in the two-hole. He plays center field again. It's Will Johnson, Landon Barnes, and Ross Haffey hitting in the meat of the lineup here today. Garrett Kieber bats sixth. He's a returnee from injury. That's a huge get for this Mammoths team down the stretch. Cullum, McCoy, and Jones will round it out as they face Garrett Crispin here today. On the other end for the home Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers, their lineup also brought to you by AAA of Michigan. Ron Williams Jr. leading off and playing first base. Freddie Geely bats second and plays second. It's Weimer, Cameron Comer, and Sam Troyer in the middle. TJ Riles, Romero Harris, Cesar Cuevas, and Ashanti Wheatley to round it out as they face Ben McKendall here today. We look at, two pieces to this lineup. One, as I mentioned, Garrett Kieber coming back. Not only is he a primary position, the captain of the infield at shortstop, but he's also a bat that this Mammoths team needs because their bench is real slim.
Very, very thin. There's a couple things you want to look at when you're looking at postseason baseball, and one of those things is up the middle, strength up the middle. I think the Beavers probably have a slight edge there, but getting Kieber back is very notable, and that gives the Mammoths a much better chance all the way around defensively for sure.
And on the other end, a bat that they would love to get going against Sam Troyer for the Beavers.
Yes, the Beavers, lineup-wise can be a little bit thin at times, but having Troyer in the middle of the order, healthy, this last part of the year, when he's going, really makes a difference in their lineup. They haven't really had somebody get really hot in the meat of that lineup yet, and maybe now's the time.
Time for your keys to the game, brought to you by your Southeast Michigan Ford dealers. What do you got today?
Well, you look at a postseason game like this, and you want to look at a couple of different things. I think number one is you want to look at the stars. Stars are really the guys when it comes to postseason baseball that pull that cart. They're the ones that you really have to depend on, your horses. And who's the biggest star in this game? Well, I think for the most part you look at Garrett Crispin. I think he's the biggest star on either side with these teams. An MVP candidate, a pitcher of the year candidate. He's been every bit of that all year. And if he pitches to his capability, that's going to be the game right there. So that's the first thing that you want to look at. Two, I think you want to look at where are the strengths. And when it comes to the Mammoths, where they really have their strength is in the bullpen.
Sure.
So they have, I think a considerably better bullpen really than the Beavers do, just from a depth standpoint and from, having premium arms on both the right side and the left side. And what does that mean? Well, it kind of goes back to Ben McKendall, the starter. If he can give them enough of a bridge to get to that bullpen where the Mammoths can bring in guys like Dazon Cole, John Murphy, who's been throwing better, Travado, Tasker Strobel from the left side, all of these guys, really good arms that they could trot out there and potentially dominate a game. The Mammoths do have a chance to win this ball game if they can get to that bullpen, because that's a really premium piece to their team.
Take a deeper dive into these two pitchers' numbers when we get back. Chelsea Estes, the third member of our team, will join us a little bit later as well. Let's get it going. It's the playoffs, 3 days in a row. Should be some exciting baseball here on the USPBL Network. Stick with us.
Order Jimmy John's and we'll bring it to your car door. Leave it at your front door or have it ready for you at our drive-thru. Just use jimmyjohns.com or our app to tell us what sandwiches, drinks, chips, and cookies you're hungry for, when you want it, and how you want it. We're ready.
Crack open a Budweiser and experience the refreshing taste of summer. Make every moment of summer count by picking up Budweiser today.
Championship week here at Jimmy John's Field is live on the USPBL Network. All this week presented by our credit union. And this broadcast today also brought to you by the following: Ascension, AAA, Balfour Property Restoration, the Detroit Medical Center, DTE Energy, Dunham Sports, Dunkin' Donuts, Green for Life Environmental, Green Path Financial Wellness, Jimmy John's, your Metro Detroit Chevy dealers, Pepsi, Scott's, Summit Oral, and United Shore. We thank all those fine partners for what they do for this game and this year, and we're getting through it.
Do you believe it?
Into
great.
Playoffs. Who would have thunk we would have been here at the beginning of the year? A lot of things changed, and a reason why we're here is because of all of you watching. I see a good number of you tuning in here at the beginning. 276 on Facebook and 51 already on YouTube. Expecting a lot more to pile in as this game goes on. Let's take a peek at the pitcher comparison brought to you by Denso here today. Ben McKendall for the Mammoths and Garrett Chrisman just named Pitcher of the Year for the Beavers.
Well, the Kill the Win crowd will like that award, won't they? Garrett Chrisman, somehow with only 2 wins this year, despite being outstanding, he really couldn't have been any better. Just a terrific guy in every sense as far as mixing his pitches, having great mechanics, hitting spots, just all the things that you look for in a starting pitcher. It's tough to find one really any better than him. And Ben McKendall with a vitally important start here. He's the guy who's got the great bullpen behind him, but he's got to put in a few good innings and give his bullpen a chance to take over.
Looks loose to start this game as well, and it can't get any bigger for Ben McKendall and the Westside Woolly Mammoths, looking to capture their first ever USPBL championship. A little different this year. The number 4 seed, the number 1 seed coming into the playoffs. Last year they got hot late. They got hot kind of at the middle late stage, weren't able to get it going completely in that push to the playoff. But if this offense can bring some energy and the bullpen can do what they do, it could make things interesting down the stretch.
I think they're one great start away from having a chance to really make some noise in this thing, because if McKendall can give them a great start and some great innings, their bullpen can take it a ways from there.
All right, who you got?
I have the Beavers. Garrett Chrisman is the biggest star between these two teams, and he's the starting pitcher for the Beavers, and I just think he's going to do what stars do.
I don't disagree. I think the Mammoths could make things interesting.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm going to go with the Beavers as well, but we'll see what happens when we get back. First pitch, don't go anywhere on the USPBL Network.
We really were fortunate to get out when we did. Losing our family photos, our wedding pictures, can't replace it.
Can you imagine losing everything you've got? You realize that it's the little things in life that matter. Things that they thought were damaged and thrown away, all of a sudden they magically reappear. And you see the human spirit come back.
It's our pictures.
To be able to put you safely back in your home matters to us. People matter. People count. At Balfour, we're restoring more than property.
There's nothing better than a ball game at Jimmy John's Field and a cold beer from Midland Brewing Company. Hi, I'm Kyle, the head brewer at Midland Brewing Company, here to wish you a stellar time making memories at Jimmy John's Field. And we hope that you're living it up with a Copper Harbor Ale in your cup. You can find more of our selections here at the ballpark and around town at your favorite bottle shops too. We hope you have a ball at the game, and remember, enjoy responsibly. Let's play ball.
Garrett Chrisman, the pitcher of the year, towing the slab for the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers here tonight. Let's take a look at the rest of the defense behind him. Brought to you by AAA of Michigan. It's T.J. Riles in left, Joey Weimer in center, Romero Harris in right, Troyer and Williams on the corners, Geely and Cuevas completing the double play combo up the middle, and Cameron Comer behind the dish here today.
Up the middle, they're a pretty strong club. Cam Comer, definitely one of the better prospects in this league behind the plate. Freddie Geely has been very steady at second base, a two-time All-Star in this league. Cesar Cuevas come on more lately, but can flash the leather a little bit, has some surprising power in his bat. And, of course, Joey Weimer in center out of the key organization, a tremendous overall athlete with great strength and speed. Pretty strong club up the middle.
Garrett Chrisman, four-seam, two-seam slider changeup. Changeup usage right up there with the four-seam fastball. I think last start his changeup was slightly over
Right.
the four-seam. Now it's the four-seam again, 35% or 34% to 33%, but right there.
We'll see how he comes out in this one, what his approach is like. Potentially going to see, these guys maybe even 4 times through the order, depending on how this outing goes.
Who would have thought, huh?
Yeah, 9-inning baseball. How about that?
Chrisman winds back, fires at 7:03 p.m. as the first pitch is off the plate outside. 74 degrees as the sun starts to go down at Utica, Michigan. It reached 81 here in the Metro Detroit area here today. Much more steamy than we thought.
Mm-hmm.
Just a week ago, things were really starting to cool off around this time.
This is as nice as playoff baseball's going to get.
Here's the 1-1. Looped foul down the third base line there. 1-2 on Alec Oland. What a time for this bat to get hot.
Definitely.
It's allowed him to hit back atop the leadoff spot for Paul Nickenbrugge. He was there early for every team pretty much that he played for. And he played for every team. As this one is whittled down the third baseline foul. Yes, there was a taxi squad. You remember that? It seems like a long time ago, but it was here for a long time, it seemed like, too, for the majority of the first 2 months of this season. Allowed a guy like Alec Oland to get some more at-bats. hitting just 200, but his last 10, 324. Because he bounced around, he has some of the most ABs in the league. That's now 6 pitches here, and this is what we're seeing out of Alec Oland. Sunday, first AB of the game, 10 pitches.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
doing his job as a leadoff man.
Yeah, a big reason why he's back there. 88-mile-an-hour fastball, spoiled back. Garrett Chrisman, 6'2", 205. Graduate of the University of Butler. 24 years old.
Looks like he's establishing the fastball early. Coming right after it.
Went up and one down. It did take 8 pitches against Alec Oland. Joey Weimer records the first out. Now Lamar Briggs will step to the plate. So we can nitpick this all we want all night long, but not the ideal start, I guess, for Garrett Chrisman in terms of pitch count.
Sure.
His high this year, 118. He did that 3 starts ago, so it's not a worry. Just if you are looking to get 9 innings out of Garrett Chrisman, which, you know, you can go as cliche as you want, but I think they'd love to do that at this point with a limited bullpen. On the ground, Cuevas reaches out over to first, spiked it, but Ron Williams Jr. saves the day.
Wow. That's a beauty.
2 up and 2 down. And now Will Johnson will be the last shot here in the first inning. He's been really working through it all season long. He dealt with that wrist injury for a good month right after the All-Star game, still trying to find it at the plate. But if a guy like this and Ross Haffey starts to heat up again, Garrett Kieber, Isaiah Cullum, there's some pieces. It's not a deep bench by any means. You don't really need that unless there's an injury.
Or any bench. You know, they've got Jamal Howard there, but he was, you know, he went down with a hammy pull recently, so don't know how healthy he is exactly.
It didn't sound like Paul Nickenberger was too
concerned.
No, the opposite. It didn't sound like he
optimistic?
was too optimistic that he would get any playing time this weekend.
Well, I guess they better stay healthy.
Stay healthy or else. This one off the...
I guess that makes it easier on a manager. You don't have to make too many moves there.
Sure.
Just is what it is.
Heavy fastball here from Garrett Chrisman in the first.
He may just stick with that as long as he can get away with it.
Located that one really well. 3-2 it fills on Will Johnson. 15 pitches. He would love to get out of this right here. And he does! On the inside corner, not often that Will Johnson doesn't coax a walk in that situation. He thought he deserved it as he barks with the home plate umpire. Garrett Chrisman says good day in the first.
Crack open a Budweiser.
Looking for a great rate on a new vehicle? Introducing our credit union's Drive promotion with rates as low as 1.89% and no payments for 90 days. Or refinance and save on your current auto loan with our 1% lower guarantee. You can now get pre-approved and close a loan remotely with our convenient online application process. Stop in today or visit ourcuonline.org/drive to drive away happy.
As we continue to respond to COVID-19 in our communities, Ascension Michigan is with you in this, and we are doing what matters to keep you safe in our care. At our hospitals and sites of care across the state, Ascension Michigan has additional safeguards in place. We are limiting visitors, ensuring proper social distancing in our waiting rooms, offering more online visits, and performing rigorous procedures to clean and disinfect. Our care teams are delivering babies and performing surgery. Now more than ever, it's important not to delay your health care. Schedule your appointments. Make sure children are getting their vaccinations. And if you have an emergency, don't wait. go straight to your closest Ascension ER. Thank you for continuing to protect yourself and our community by washing your hands, wearing a face covering, and social distancing. Our doctors, nurses, and staff are ready for you when you need us. This is what we do best.
Welcome back, everyone, to Jimmy John's Field. Ben McKendall on the mound here for the Westside Woolly Mammoths. Here's the rest of the defense behind him, brought to you by AAA. Johnson, Briggs, McCoy, your outfielders. Olin and Haffey on the corners. Barnes and Kieber up the middle with Isaiah Cullum behind the plate here today.
We've got a couple pitchers today that featured the changeup pretty heavily. Of course, Chrisman, it's probably a third of his pitches in a normal day overall with the changeup. McKendall's pretty prominent with it too, 25% or more. The off-speed pitch that he throws the most.
Ron Williams Jr., Freddie Geely, Joey Weimer, your Zach Hart agency, 3 men due up here in the first inning. The 1-0 checked his swing. No, he didn't. He went around there. 1-1 on Ron. Certainly been a versatile piece on the defensive end for this Beavers team, and has kind of hit all over the lineup as well. 87-mile-an-hour fastball is by Ron Williams. Well, Ben McKendall trying to forget about the last outing, just an inning's worth, 3 walks. Did find out before the game today, which we were not aware of, that he's been dealing with a blister all year long. That's a nice pitch that flops in there for strike 3. One up and one down.
Pitchers coming out sharp on both sides, establishing their fastball early. Looks like they're both taking an approach that they want to go deep into this game. You know, they're not going to show too much of their arsenal early on, it looks like.
Garrett Chrisman throwing just one changeup we hear in that first inning.
Yeah, and 1, 2, 3, so, you know, why not?
Fastball in for strike 1 on Freddie Geely. Hitless in his last 4, hitting .217 on the year. Barnes juggles, but does respond for out number 2. So Haffey back over there at first base. Here's Joey Weimer now.
He's a guy they'd like to see break out. We talked about Troyer a little bit already, but I think Joey Weimer maybe more than anyone else they'd love to see get hot.
Still without an extra base hit to his credit this year. 182 in the average column. First pitch on the corner for strike 1. Cam Comer, your Zach Hart agency man on deck if Weimer were to reach here in the first. Popped him up, barely going to reach the outfield. Kieber. Boy, what a breeze of an inning for Ben McKendall. Even less pitches than Garrett Chrisman. 8 pitches, 3 up and 3 down here in the first.
Got him on a nice little slider there out front.
Time for Freaky Fast trivia presented by Jimmy John's. What 2 teams played in game number 1 during the 2019 USPBL Championship weekend?
The Mammoths are not in there. I know that. It's either B or C. I'm going to go with, I think the Hoppers were bad last year, so I'm going to go with the Hoppers and the Beavers, B.
There you go.
All right. I'm gonna get the baseball questions. That's the thing. You know, if you throw some classic rock at me, I'm gonna miss some of those. I'm gonna miss some of the newer Disney movies, but I'll get the baseball questions usually.
Much different feel for the Hoppers this year, really all season long. I mean, they were up there as the number 2, maybe number 3 team, and they were battling with this Beavers team for a long time for that second spot.
Yeah, I mean, coming into the year, you looked at the rosters, and it's like, you know, the Hoppers, they had a tough year last year, but they had a lot of guys back. So there was kind of a veteran feel there, and there was some pretty good players coming back, especially good hitters coming back. And you had a feeling if they could get a little bit of pitching that they were going to have a shot at being a lot better, and it definitely played out that way.
So there's a look at Garrett Chrisman from the wide angle, tuning up with Cam Comer. Garrett Chrisman, your pitcher of the year. Zach Gray, your Triple Crown winner. Ty Hensley, the MVP. And Coley Curry, your Sportsmanship Award winner. Those are the awards. I know some of you have chimed in on the chat section, asking what the results were. So there you go. Tim Ruthenberg comments on Facebook, the weekend we live for since the 2016 inaugural season. Here's a line drive to left off the bat of Landon Barnes. That's going to carry all the way to the wall. Barnes quickly around the first base bag. He's heading to second, and that is a sliding double and a pumped-up Barnes to begin the second inning.
He roped that one, and that's what the Mammoths need here. It gives them a real good chance to take the lead in this game.
Boy, they couldn't look for it from another guy in the middle of their lineup here today. 88 miles an hour off the bat.
You know, Chrisman's really been attacking these guys with fastballs, and the interesting thing there with Barnes is he's lately been seeing a real steady diet of breaking balls, and he hasn't got many good fastballs to hit lately, but he jumped all over that one, didn't miss it.
Fly ball straightened up to right center. Geely going back with Romero Harris, caught for the second out.
Not a great situational result there for Haffey. It looked like maybe he was trying to go to the opposite field, which makes sense with a man on second, nobody out, but he just ended up getting underneath it too much. Needed to shorten up a little bit there and hit that more on a line or possibly on the ground. If you hit one in the air, you just got to hit it deeper to at least advance the runner.
Here's Garrett Keeper now. That's with the runner on second base. Good to see him back in the lineup after missing due to the injury for a week's worth of time. Anytime you lose your shortstop, it's a big deal, but it's an especially big deal because this team doesn't have a lot of reserves. They really haven't all September.
And it makes you move everybody around. You know, you have to put Olin, who's been all over the diamond already. You know, you had to move him over to shortstop, and then Briggs has to come into third base again from center field. It just makes you change so many things.
Here's the 0-1. Sound like a broken bat.
Yes.
Cuevas charging. Got it for out number 2. It does advance Landon Barnes to third base. But Dan, in the postseason, when you get a leadoff double, you have to capitalize.
Yes. Well, it's a good job there by Landon Barnes to make a good read on the soft ground ball. Most of the time when you're on second base with a ground ball to the left side, you're not going to be able to advance, but he read the broken bat and that it was a real soft ground ball and was able to move up. That could pay off on a pass ball or something of that nature, a real hard hit single somewhere that maybe stays in the infield or one hops the outfield.
For his pitch to Column, another slider in for strike 1. We've seen 2 good sliders in this inning by Garrett Chrisman. The first was to Garrett Keeper. I believe that was for strike 1. Here's the 0-1. Popped it up. Williams camping under it. These 2 pitchers pretty sharp. Despite the leadoff double by Landon Barnes, Garrett Chrisman gets him in order after that. Still the 0-0 game. Let's see what the Beavers offense can do when we get back here on the USPBL Network. Down to Chelsea Estes now.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for Kid of the Game, brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. And today I'm going to recognize Nathan Kulich. Nathan is 9 years old and he attends Washington Elementary School. And his favorite activity is baseball. Take a look at him in those athletic outfit. He looks like quite a baseball player. And who knows, we might see him here at Jimmy John's Field one of these days. Congratulations, Nathan. You are a great kid of the game. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Chelsea. Good looking young Oakland A there, huh?
I like those A's uniforms.
They're sharp. It's your DTE Energy Kid Race the Mascot at the end of things as well. Jeremy Addo alongside Dan Griesbaum Jr. to bring the call here today. Player of the Game contest. The first person to guess the player of the game will win a free oil change courtesy of Kozak's Mr. Muffler. Post your player selection here in the comments section of the broadcast before the end of the second inning. Limit one guess per fan. Sue Sparling on YouTube comments, "Hey Jeremy and Dan, remember when you had a person from Hawaii check in and say he was watching the game online? I'm one of the host family members, and he's my brother. He's here in the stands tonight."
Oh, nice. Is he cold? Well, probably not. It's a pretty nice night. He would have been cold last week.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's a nice thing about Hawaii, though. Even though it's obviously warm, there's always that mist in the air that seems to kind of cool you down.
Never been.
No?
Mm-mm.
Okay. You were shooting for something big, though, weren't you? You're going
Fiji.
to Fiji. That's
yes.
right. Yeah.
That didn't happen.
Okay.
It couldn't happen. I don't think it still can happen. They shut themselves off and said, no visitors.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
Not sure we would have taken a plane ride at that point anyway in May.
Right.
Middle of the order for the Beavers up here, brought to you by Zach Hart Agency. It's Cam Comer, Sam Troyer, TJ Riles. Here's Zach Hart Agency, 3 men due up. Comer checks in at 286. 362 on base and a 395 slugging. Done a really good job to trend upwards as this season has gone on. Been a little streaky here at the end, but I think you'll take that out of a position like your catcher.
Definitely.
Really good first inning for Ben McKendall. He attacked those hitters. Just 8 pitches and got out of it. Comer flustered. He didn't get a better piece of that one.
Yeah, he liked that. He liked that pitch and missed it.
Two and two on Cam Comer. Sam Troyer waiting on deck here. The 2-2. Some nice bite to that, but just not in the strike zone. That's a moving changeup.
Yeah, his changeup and slider don't have a real different look to him. One cuts in on the lefty and one kind of tails away from the lefty.
And that one closer to the zone.
Ooh,
Both Isaiah Cullum and Ben McKendall wanting that pitch.
Definitely.
The difference of an out and a leadoff walk in the first base run of the game for the Beavers.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
J.D. Shoemaker says, "I was frozen on the stands last Saturday. Going from 105 to 50 degrees was a shock."
Yeah, definitely.
On the ground, up the middle, Kieber turns to second in time. Boy, tailor-made double play to get Ben McKendall snappily out of the mini jam here in the second.
Well, we talked about that early, just having that strength up the middle, Kieber back in that spot. Nice, easy ground ball. That's the kind of pitcher McKendall is, trying to get some ground ball outs, and they converted that one for him.
Middle of the infield, such a timing thing. Imagine if that wasn't Kieber here today.
No doubt.
We talked about that early on. It was surprising how well the middle infielders gelled to begin the year, because we're not necessarily seeing the same ones. There's still some carryover from the beginning of the year. Then we've had a tryout, and we've had a few cuts here and there. But for the most part, these guys were ready to go when they got here at the second base and shortstop position. The line out by TJ Riles, and again, for the second consecutive inning, Ben McKendall faces the minimum. Still 0-0 on the USPBL Network.
Start to finish, Crest Lincoln offers an interactive shopping experience ready when you are at crestlincoln.com. Explore our inventory and we'll provide you with a wide range of options so you can lease or purchase your next Lincoln remotely. Our online process allows you to complete the entire purchase from virtually anywhere. Plus, our team of experts are standing by ready to help. When it's time for service, we'll provide you with a Lincoln loaner clean and sanitized. At CrestLincoln.com, we're ready for you on your terms. Visit us online today.
Hi, I am Allison with the Sports Performance Tip of the Game, brought to you by DMC Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine. As an athletic trainer, I often get asked when to heat and when to ice after an injury. We like to use the acronym RICE, which stands for rest, ice, compression, and elevation. So when an injury occurs within the first 72 hours or about 3 days, it's important not to use the joint and allow it to rest. Then you can introduce ice, which will help to relieve pain and control swelling. Compression, like a bandage wrapped around that injury, can also help minimize the swelling and pain. If it's an ankle or knee, gravity pulls that away, making it more difficult for the healing to take place. So it's important to elevate the injured area. There are fancy ice packs out there, but one thing we have is something in the freezer. If you're past the 3-day mark or 72 hours, you can start to introduce some heat to the area, or just simply move the joint to allow some natural blood flow. But after that,
Welcome back, everyone, to Jimmy John's Field and a quick ground ball to the third baseman. That's a nice play all the way around to keep this game right where it is. It's Sam Troyer who does that. And now pleased to be joined by Russ Sclafani here. He's one of the fine dentists over at Summit Oral. We talk about Summit certainly all year long, and you know what they do for this league ultimately in their third season as partners here. Thanks for joining us, Doc.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
What exactly, you know, is your guys' specialty? Because we talk about you all the time, and I look at your website, and there's a lot of things on there. But what are you guys known for most?
So as oral and maxillofacial surgeons, we have a very broad scope of practice. We're unique in that we are trained in both dentistry and medicine. And we do surgery in the mouth and face. In our offices, we do a lot of oral surgery, such as extraction of wisdom teeth, biopsies, bone grafting, implant placement for reconstruction. We work at the hospital. We're on call for trauma surgery of the entire face. We do cancer-related reconstruction. Some of our surgeons are also doing a lot of cosmetic surgery, as well as TMJ reconstructive surgery.
It's awesome stuff, and certainly a time right now, it's not an easy time to be anything. I mean, it's not an easy time to play baseball. It's not an easy time to be a doctor in any field. Good play by Geely potentially here. Nice. Over to first base for the second out, but how has things changed over the last 6 months?
So the COVID pandemic has really been stressful for all of us. And unfortunately, during the pandemic, we had to close down some of our offices per the governor's orders. I'm really proud to say, though, that all 5 of our offices are now open.
Awesome.
We've taken great strides and precautions in making them a COVID-safe or sterile environment. And we're open to serve the public.
You have a few ties, you know, here at the USPBL. Obviously, Oakland University, not too far. You went there, and you helped with Coach Campy's team in terms of dental needs. You also graduated from Detroit Mercy, and I'm actually Detroit Mercy's basketball announcer. So there you go, some ties right in.
Great.
But what's your involvement? I know you have some involvement with the Pistons, obviously with Oakland U. What do you do with you know, them athletically as well?
Sure. So, you know, as a fan of sports and also a maxillofacial surgeon, I got tired, I should say, of treating sports-related dental injuries, and we wanted to prevent them, stop them from happening before they happened. So I was lucky enough to be asked to be part of the dental team for the Detroit Pistons, as well as the Oakland University Golden Grizzlies basketball team. I do work for some local high schools as well, and it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And you considered maybe making that your career overall first off, didn't you? Just in athletics?
Yeah, absolutely. But you know, I'm at a good point in my life right now in my career, and very happy with what we're doing. And it's just a lot of fun to be part of the community and help serve everyone.
Well, Russ, thanks so much for stopping by here today. Good to chat with you, and best of luck as these basketball seasons roll on as well.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
We appreciate your partnership with the USPBL as well. Let's go down to Chelsea Estes now on the field. Chelsea?
All right, everyone, welcome back. It's everyone's favorite time of the game. It's for JJ, the field general, when he goes out and brings the umpire some water and a nice cold towel. This is brought to you by Michigan First Government Credit Union, of course. Now, JJ, he's very strategic with this. He will not leave until he gets his treat. He's a very smart boy. I have a golden retriever puppy at home, and they will not do anything unless you give them a treat. So JJ's no dummy there. He's such a good boy. Now, JJ only has a few more games left this season to show us some tips and his tricks with his Frisbee. Let's watch him go. What do you guys think? Is he going to catch it? I have full faith in him. Let's see it. Oh, so beautiful. 10 out of 10, JJ. All right, everyone, enjoy JJ's tricks, and Deanna and Jeremy, back to you guys.
Thanks, Chelsea. Chelsea will be with us all playoff long. Today, tomorrow, and Sunday. We plan to do some extended pregame coverage for you on Sunday. More on that a little bit as we get closer, but you look at the start for these pitchers. Can't really draw it up any better. Ben McKendall looking to work another minimum inning. Had a 1-2-3 frame back in the first. Leadoff walk in the second. Taylor made 6-4-3 double play. And then the line out off the bat of TJ Riles. He'll face Romero Harris, Cesar Cuevas, and Ashanti Wheatley here in the third inning. A reminder that, yes, we are playing 9 innings in every game of the playoffs. So if you're just tuning in, that's something to look out for. First pitch from McKendall here is sliding off the plate outside. You got to hustle back, huh? That was quicker than you thought.
I did. That was a quick inning. I got a nice view of that last Bugs Bunny changeup that Crispin threw Olin there. That was pretty nasty.
That one diving in for strike one on Romero Harris. 184 in the average column. Has picked it up a little bit as the year has gone on. There's a fly ball poked to left, chasing Johnson back to the track, but he's going to glide there for out number one. Decent swing by Romero Harris, just didn't have enough juice. There is no wind. It's dead. Both the flag, the American flag in right center, and the pennants and the championship banner for the Unicorns is nearly still. First pitch ball down low from Ben McKendall. Both of these pitchers, both Chrisman and Ben McKendall, there you see the limp flag, have had pretty good sliders to start this game here today. That one, a lollipops in there for strike one. It was a little slower than his average slider, 76. Usually anywhere from 79 to 83.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody spread out on the infield. Both Haffey and Oland are in tight towards the line, especially Oland over at third base. 3-1 on Cesar Cuevas. Kendall working at a pretty big clip. So it's something that we hadn't heard about the blister issues for Ben McKendall until now. I was talking with Shane McCaddy about that before the game. That's a big deal for a pitcher.
Oh, absolutely. Can change the way that you pressure the seams of the ball, the way you hold the ball, the grip. Of course, one of the great World Series moments of all time, if you're a New York Mets fan, was when Roger Clemens was taken out of the game for a blister in Game 6 in 1986 World Series, probably changing the course of history there. Of course, that's the game that ended in the Bill Buckner E3.
Haffey nearly getting over on that one, but falls just in his lap. And it remains a 3-2 count on Cuevas here. 27 pitches deep for Ben McKendall. The double play certainly helped in the second.
These teams sort of seem to be feeling each other out like prize fighters right now. Just
I'm with you. It's a different start, different feel. Oland, nice bounce and a good throw over to first base as well. How about Alec Oland kind of playing everywhere as this season winds down? That wasn't really the case early on. I mean, he was pretty much a primary outfielder.
He's kind of the Mammoths version of R.J. Williams, except Williams didn't really get the opportunity to move around so much because the Beavers didn't have a regular first baseman, as it turned out. But he certainly could have. They could have been very similar players.
So in his last 11 games, pay attention, 4 games at third now, 2 at short, a game at first, and 4 in the outfield. That's a whole lot of everything.
Right.
1-0 on Ashanti Wheatley.
Sounds like Pete Rose's career.
Right.
Pete Rose talks about that on occasion, how he would get to spring training and Sparky Anderson would say, "Well, Pete, you're playing left field this year."
Look at the moon. Nice shot by the crew here tonight. 1-1 is just off the outside. 2-1 on Ashanti Wheatley. The fact that we're all done up here today, we appreciate the temperature going down a little bit.
Not bad. Perfect fall night. And for those in the area, check uspbl.com for ticket opportunities for Saturday night and Sunday afternoon. There are some limited opportunities available still.
Good stuff. Two is whittled foul. Top of the order due up here, Ron Williams Jr. Here's the 2-2. Ron Williams Jr. struck out looking back in the first inning. That was part of the first 1-2-3 inning for Ben McKendall. Looking for another one here, and boy, his misses have not been big margins.
Both of these pitchers, considering how good they've looked so far, have thrown a few more pitches than I think they would have liked. Oh. Is that the cutter away? Or just eased up on the fastball a little bit?
Looks like he might have just eased up on the fastball. The cutter's only been thrown 3% this year.
Okay.
And that's an average of 80 most of the time. I mean, that's certainly a small sample size. So it does give Ron Williams Jr. another chance. The only 2 base runners that have reached today for the Beavers have been on the walk.
See if Wheatley might try to steal a base here. With 2 outs.
Popped it up lazily to Johnson. Might have lost that ball.
Yep. It
is kind of a heavy sky.
It is a little hazy. Got our own version of Friday Night Lights here. I think I hear that music coming from the park down the road too, don't you?
Yep.
That's our usual Friday music.
Get a concert while sitting in the seats because it's a little bit, obviously, a lot less of a crowd than it normally would be.
Yeah, and a normal Friday night here at the USPBL, you got 4,000 people here. You wouldn't hear music down the street.
Outside 1-1 on Ron Williams Jr. He struck out at a 1-2 pitch back in the first. It was a strikeout, a pop out, and a ground out in that inning for Ben McKendall. Decent approach there, but not just able to keep it fouled on the third base line, and Wheatley again will retreat here. Righty on lefty with 2 outs in the third inning in a scoreless game. And both of these leadoff hitters doing their job in terms of getting deep in counts.
Definitely.
We saw Alec Olin do that. The first at-bat of the game, it resulted in a flyout.
Although for the Beavers, things aren't going to get easier if you get into the Mammoths bullpen.
True. So what are you saying?
I think you better just look for your pitch and hit it.
Wheatley with a modest lead. 2 steps over at first. Here's the 2-2 again. Hoisted into left and just hung up there long enough for a perfectly positioned Will Johnson to hammer it home. Nothing becomes of the 2-out walk here in the third inning. Tied at goose eggs on the USPBL network in playoff game number 1.
DTE Energy customers can get their share of huge lifetime energy cost savings. How? By using our website. The Oslin's new programmable thermostat saved them a bundle. And their new efficient furnace earned them a hefty rebate. All over Michigan, people like the Oslins are saving. Why not you? There are always new ways to save at dteenergy.com/saveenergy. DTE Energy.
Dunham Sports is a proud partner of the USPBL. Big names, low prices, delivering value since 1937.
First State Bank is a locally owned and operated business. We're part of your community. At fsbcares.com, you'll find ways that we're making a difference by featuring locally owned and operated businesses, providing access to helpful financial resources, and engaging with community. fsbcares.com is part of our commitment to the neighborhood because strong neighbors mean stronger communities. Where good neighbors do great things. Member FDIC and Equal Housing Lender.
Garrett Chrisman looked pretty good so far, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's a good one. You know, he kind of settled into his off-speed stuff a little bit, really heavy on the fastball early, starting to mix it up a little bit more now. Type of approach that, you know, Justin Verlander, I think, had sort of in the prime of his career, where he would kind of establish one pitch at a time and really try to go deep into the game. And that's the type of approach that Chrisman's taking, I think. Oh.
Nearly another great play. We saw a similar one made in the first inning and a good scoop by Ron Williams Jr., but instead it's a leadoff base hit for Lamar Briggs here in the fourth.
I think that's the way the Mammoths have to go about this, is they have to attack early in the count. If they get a pitch that they like, they've got to jump on it early. You don't want to get in a situation where you're seeing that changeup or slider deep in a count when you've got 2 strikes on you.
So Briggs, a guy who has 8 stolen bases this year. See if he tries to force the issue here in the fourth. The Mammoths like to do that.
Yes, they do. That's part of their game. Besides the strong bullpen, another strength of their team is the speed. You know, it's sort of have the playoffs here at the USPBL has a little bit of that feel of high school here in the state of Michigan, where even if you have a little bit of a subpar season, if you've got some good pieces and some good strengths on your team, you have a chance to make a run still. And that's the kind of situation the Mammoths are in. They have a shot. If they can emphasize their strengths and improve upon a couple of their weaknesses, they have a shot.
That's something as you see Garrett Chrisman picked to first base on Lamar Briggs that Garrett mentioned in a preview show that we had a couple days ago. You can see on Facebook and YouTube, interviewed 4 players from each team between yesterday and Wednesday. He said he might throw over there a little bit more to keep guys close, but in general he thought that he had a pretty good approach versus these Mammoths, and they didn't really get many base runners on throughout the year.
Yeah, I kind of like what he said. He sort of said, well, yeah, I'm going to try to keep them close, but mostly I just want to keep them off first base, which is something he does pretty well generally. He does have a good catcher behind the plate as far as the throwing goes with Comer, so if he can keep them close, they have a shot to throw guys out. And there he goes.
Hit and run.
Yep.
Landon Barnes, your Zach Hart agency man on deck. He had a hot shot doubled on the left field line to begin the hit party for the Mammoths. His and Lamar Briggs is the only notch of the ball game for either of these two teams. The only thing allowed by Ben McKendall today was a leadoff walk in the second and a 2-out walk in the third. No problem either time.
On both of those hits, they attacked early, too. That was the key.
Briggs going to bluff. That might have affected the way he was able to move to second base, but either way, probably an out for the first one here in the fourth.
Yeah, had he been running on the pitch, obviously he would have been safe at second, but they would have got the out at first. Obviously, that's preferable. You'd rather have the guy at second base.
If we would have won, he had a pretty good jump looking at the replay here on our YouTube monitor.
Well, Barnes jumped first pitch fastball last time and hammered it. Let's see if Chrisman starts him out with a changeup this time. That certainly wouldn't surprise me.
Or the slider to really mess with him.
Sure.
Wow, soft served into right. Harris, did he catch it? He did. And now they're going to pick him over at first base.
Wow.
And just like that, another minimum inning for Garrett Chrisman. Romero Harris says, not so fast. Boom to first base, and they're out of it here in the fourth. Back with more after this on the USPBL Network.
Want to hit your home cleanup project out of the park? Well, making sure that your driveway is safe from damage? Rent a rubber-wheeled trailer from GFL and keep all of your bases covered. Our trailers come in 20 and 30-yard sizes for all your cleanup needs. Call GFL today to order your driveway-safe rubber-wheeled trailer. Team GFL, helping you win your cleanup project.
Congratulations to today's graduate of the game from Michigan Schools and Government Credit Union. At MSGCU, we're for teachers. That means anyone that's ever taught a lesson about anything in life, like how to tie a tie or how to pay attention in online school. We're dedicated to helping all the teachers out there achieve financial success. So if you've ever taught a lesson, MSGCU can help you get the most out of your finances with market-leading rates and low fees.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for me to recognize a senior in our Senior Spotlight brought to you by Michigan School and Government Credit Union. Tonight, I'm going to recognize Nicholas Falls, who attended Dakota High School. Nick loves amusement and theme parks, so much so that he was accepted to Bowling Green State University Resort and Attraction Management. How cool! He loves sports and has attended many USPBL baseball games. We are so proud of all of his accomplishments. Nick, congratulations, my friend. Well deserved. Good luck at Bowling Green, and to all those seniors who just started this new chapter in their lives. Congratulations. Jeremy and Dan, back to you.
Thanks, Chelsea. Freddie Geely, Joey Weimer, and Cameron Comer, your Zach Hart agency. 3 men due up here in the fourth inning. So far for Ben McKendall, 41 pitches deep, 3 innings complete, 2 walks, both of which Wheatley and Comer battled a little bit to get on.
Well, we could have just seen one of the defensive plays of the game. That was really a very big play by Romero Harris. Chrisman really kind of got away with one there. He started Barnes with a fastball again, and he got a pretty good piece of it. And could have easily been a base hit, and we'd have first and second, one out, but instead they got out of the inning with a diving double play. It's a big swing.
Did a pretty good job defensively all year. He's made a couple of those plays so far. Here's the 0-1. Low. 1-1 on Freddie Geely. Ground out back in the first inning. It was a part of a 1-2-3 first for Ben McKendall. 3 batters in the first, 3 in the second after the 6-4-3 double play, and then 4 in the third after the 2-out walk.
You know, in a certain way, it almost feels like the Mammoths have the advantage right now. You know, Chrisman's doing what we expected him to do. McKendall, the deeper he can go in the game like this, with the Mammoth bullpen being what it is, that really gives them an advantage.
Slider outside. He's not been able to fully command that slider today. He's had good break. Here's the 2-2. Nice snare for the first out.
You got Geely to sort of come around that one, casted his hands out a little bit and tried to pull it. That's a ball that you really need to let get deeper and drive it the opposite way if you're going to hit it with any authority.
All these teams going through some PFP this week, pitchers fielding practice. That's not something you do often.
Not during the season.
Usually a spring training thing. And
no,
then
very, very much. Keep guys busy during spring training.
Right now, kind of make sure everything's shored up. First pitch fastball in for strike one on Joey Weimer. He popped out as well in his first AB. Paints it at 88 for strike two.
In many ways, that's the perfect ball to throw Joey Weimer. You know, that down and away pitch is one that he really has a hard time with. And if you put it on the corner like that, hardly anybody can hit it, really. Especially with that, you know, tailing action back. It looks like it's off the plate, and then it tails back just enough to catch the corner.
Checked his swing, but he went.
That's a terrific job by McKendall in that at-bat. Really perfect.
Looks locked in. Now Cam Comer coached a 3-2 walk back in the second inning, his 12th walk of the year. He has just one hit in his last 4. Golfs that one to the gap in left center field, carrying there and over the head of Johnson on a hop.
Wow, I sure didn't see that ball bouncing over the fence the way that it landed, but it did. The ground must be hard out there. Usually with a ball that's elevated that much, it's not going to take quite that type of a hop. When Comer's going good, that's kind of where he drives the ball. That's sort of his power alley, when he really stays on the ball well, the ball that's down and away. He hits it with a lot of authority to left field, left center.
That's something that Vaughn Joshua has been talking with him all season long. He said, hey, just lay off the high fastball. That's easier said than done.
Sure.
But you are a dead low ball hitter, and when you do that, you'll do things just like that, go gap to gap.
Right.
And that's certainly allowed him to be better as the season has gone on. And I looked at the numbers a little bit. We get a packet each day that shows us the heat map and average exit velocity according to where the pitch is. Low and in, the lowest it can go, and the farthest in it can go, 92.3 average exit velo. And middle low, you know, so right in the middle of the plate and down, average is 97 off the bat.
Yeah, he hammers those. He can hit them a long way, too. Good opposite field power. Low ball hitters can be that way sometimes. You don't want to try to actively pull the low ball too much, because when you do that, you really get out front with your hands, and it's kind of a weak position. If you can let that ball travel a little bit more and think center field, think opposite way, you're going to have more consistent success.
Those numbers, obviously courtesy of Eric McKean, the belated birthday boy.
I didn't find out what he was turning, though. Is he like a 23, 22, 23?
23.
Okay.
Ah, wow.
Okay.
He's getting up there.
I didn't start in pro baseball till I was 23. My understanding is he's got a couple year jump already.
He might just take your job one day.
Well, he might, but I'll be old enough by then.
The 2-2, fly ball to center. Briggs backing up in that for out number 3. Nothing becomes of the 2-out double. It's the first hit against Ben McKendall here today. These pitchers setting the batters down for the most part, besides the walk and the 2 doubles by each side. Satisfy your cravings with Dunkin's Snackin' Menu with the new Stuffed Bagel Minis, new Maple Sugar Snackin' Bacon, and Dunkin' Roll-Ups, including our new Steak and Cheese Roll-Up. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer as we wait for them to come out of the left field gate here.
I'm taking hot coffee because I bought a Dunkin' Donuts hot coffee today, and I think it's good luck. Come on, hot coffee, let's go.
He's coming out last, but he looks like he's one from behind. He's
moving. Oh,
Donut, look at Donut charging the arms.
That's the best we've seen Donut look.
Donut, oh my goodness, he nearly ran into TJ Riles there, and it's hot coffee who does finish. Donut gonna come from behind. Watch out, he might truck you over.
Iced coffee seemed to get confused 2/3 through the race.
America runs on Dunkin', except the coffee a little slow here today. Back with more after this.
Introducing oat milk at Dunkin'. Get cozy by the cupful and creamy without the dairy with oat milk in any of our beverages. Oat milk is now at Dunkin'. Enjoy contactless ordering on the Dunkin' app. America runs on Dunkin'. There's nothing better than fall together with the signature pumpkin spice iced latte or pumpkin iced coffee. Pumpkin is back at Dunkin'. Enjoy contactless ordering on the Dunkin' app. America runs on Dunkin'.
Well, these two pitchers kind of living the same way, living low, which both want to do, you know, with the, the velocity is not going to pop at you for either guy. Ben McKendall's fastball ranges 87 to 90. Garrett Crispin, the same area with 87 kind of being the average. So that's where they want to live. They want to command those off-speed pitches really well, but both of them having pretty good success thus far.
Yeah, they're really very similar guys in terms of arsenal and what they try to accomplish when they're out there. Crispin's just been a little bit sharper all year, but both look sharp today. It's going to be, at some point, we're going to have a big hit or possibly a big mistake. You know, one of those types of things that's going to tip the balance of this ballgame. And as I said earlier, I think as we get deeper in the game, the Mammoths maybe gain an advantage.
39 pitches for Garrett Crispin, so that's not an issue to this point.
Yeah, that's a big benefit to the Beavers if he can keep that under control.
Solid base knock. Second hit of the day for the Westside Woolly Mammoths. It's Landon Barnes and Ross Haffey, and they're hitting consecutively in the order here tonight, 4th and 5th.
Question is, when does one of these managers decide to manufacture a run or consider manufacturing a run? You've got a guy on first here, nobody out. Do they think about bunting already? It might be a little early, especially with the 6-hitter up there. You know, bottom of the order coming up after him. Probably not now, but hit and run maybe. Haffey's not a great runner over there.
Troyer is inching in at third base here. Probably back up now after he saw Garrett Kieber take strike one.
Bunting for a hit's another possibility.
Sure.
He would have liked to get hit by that ball, I'm sure. It's one of those pitches where afterwards you're kind of thinking to yourself, man, I should have leaned into that. But it's just so hard to do it in the heat of the moment.
It's just not your standard reaction.
No, it's not. I mean, unless you're actively thinking about it before the pitch comes, but of course you're never really doing that.
When did the get out of the way rule go away? I mean, it's still technically there.
Well, for the most part, it's a bad rule, and when they enforce it, especially at the lower levels, I really don't like it because it kind of teaches hitters that they can't stay in there on a breaking ball, you know, which is a really bad thing to teach hitters. I think it's incumbent upon the pitcher to not hit somebody. I mean, in my opinion, I don't think the hitter should have to actively try to get out of the way. Now, leaning out over the plate or something like that, that's totally different. Trying to get hit, that's different.
Line drive up the box.
All right, well, they got something going now.
It's exactly what Garrett Keeber does when he's swinging well. And here comes Isaiah Cullum now.
And do you consider playing small ball here? I don't, again, I'm thinking probably not. Cullum's probably not really a bunting type. You got the 8 and 9 hitters coming up after him, so probably not. But you never know.
He's a guy who's been swinging the bat a little bit better. His manager would like to see it be a little bit more consistent. He says when he's on it, in terms of a good swing, it's a beautiful swing. A nice line drive, gap to gap type of guy. He thinks he can have gap to gap power even. The number one thing when you look at his season line is you got to remember the at-bat's still not that high because he didn't play a whole lot to begin the year.
Right.
Hitless in his last 2. He breaks that here. And they'll hold the runner at third, and now the pond is full of ducks to begin the 5th inning with no outs.
Well, it becomes station to station, especially when, Haffey's the lead runner. He's not a plus runner, certainly. But great opportunity here for the Mammoths, no doubt. I'm sure the Beavers are going to play their infield back here. And they don't want to give up a big inning, certainly, but a lot of ways to score a run here. Chrisman, in a lot of ways, needs to kind of pitch for a strikeout here if possible.
McCoy 0 for 1 today. He does have a home run in his back pocket this year. 77-mile-an-hour slider outside. Haffey on third, Keeber on second. Isaiah Cullum, the latest in the string of singles here in the inning. And the slider that bites a little bit too much.
Well, McCoy's in control here now. He's in an RBI situation. 2-0 count in his favor. He's got to look for one pitch in one zone, and if he doesn't get it, wait for the next pitch. It's got to be a ball that you can drive to the outfield. You want to make sure you're not in a situation where you tap one back to the pitcher or something. It's got to be a ball you can drive. At a very minimum here, you need to drive one run in.
Keandre Jones, the bottom of the order, waiting on deck. Here's the 2-0 on the ground and through into right field. Haffey around third. They're waving Garrett Keeber. Play at the plate. It's way wide. And both base runners going to advance. McCoy clapping his hands at second base because his team has the game's first lead.
Very aggressive base running, but when you run aggressively like that, it puts a lot of pressure on the defense. And Romero Harris, who had a plus defensive play last inning, made a mistake there. He sailed that throw. Had he kept it down, I think he would have got the second man coming around for one thing, and two, at the very least, he would have kept McCoy on first base. But now he's on second and in scoring position with nobody out. 2 runs in and 2 more guys in scoring position with nobody out.
Vaughn Joshua coming out to the mound. Jared Price warming up.
Beavers very much on the ropes here. They've got their MVP candidate on the mound, and he's in a little bit of trouble.
So Jared Price jogging out to the bullpen as Vaughn Joshua was coming out as well.
Price certainly the guy that's going to pitch their high leverage situations, and they're not going to waste any time. They're going to go right to him if they need somebody.
Cullum at third, McCoy at second base. He gets credit with the single and an advancement. Keandre Jones has seen his on-base percentage increase in his last 10. Not a bunch of hits, but 4 walks and 6 hit-by pitches.
A little bit of an urgent move by the Beavers here, having the infield in, too. When you've got second and third and you bring the infield in, that basically means a base hit's going to score 2. But
this is a guy who hits it hard when he does make contact. Hard hit percentage of 33%. That's 95, or balls hit 95 miles an hour or above.
And by a base hit scoring 2, what I mean is the man on second base can get a huge lead because the infield is in like that. They can't hold them on anymore. You can see there with McCoy at second, if Cuevas plays in, he can go as far as Cuevas without being worried about getting picked. So any type of ground ball through, base hit, that's going to score him easily with nobody out here. Usually managers will play guys back in this type of situation, but obviously Von Joshua thinking that a third run is going to be too many. Certainly some wisdom to that, too, when you consider McKendall's throwing well and the Mammoths have a very solid bullpen, of course. You don't want to give up any more runs here.
2-2 on Keandre Jones thanks to the two-seamer on the hands that he fouled off. Base open, but you don't want to do that with the top of the order on deck. Nice biting pitch. The slider down low gets him for out number 1.
And that's a big pitch. Getting that first out really changes the overall complexity of this inning.
It's his 3rd strikeout of the game, his 93rd of the season. That walk to strikeout ratio just continues to improve. 20 walks to 93 strikeouts. That's elite level.
You can consider pitching around Olin here, except you got Briggs on deck, which doesn't make that real appealing.
Fly ball to left center field's going to hang up there. Joey Weimer has speed. He gets to it easily. That's not a great ball to throw on, obviously. So wheeling his way home and in standing up, Isaiah Cullum, and it's a 3-0 lead for the Mammoths.
Nice piece of hitting there by Olin. He looked for a ball that he knew he could drive to the outfield, and he got it. Got a very important 3rd run.
It won't rain big in the box score, but a long at-bat in the 1st, seeing a lot of pitches in Garrett Chrisman. It obviously didn't help necessarily in that inning. It was 1-2-3. They did get a leadoff double in the 2nd, but that's a nice approach as well on the 1st pitch, just knowing what he wants to do, and in a one-game elimination type format, adds a 3rd run, which could be huge going forward. Briggs had a single back in the 4th. He was stranded on the fielder's choice. In the dirt, Ron Williams Jr. saves the day for Caesar at shortstop. 3 straight singles, all score to begin the 5th inning, and that's why it's 3-0 Visitors.
Giving you so much more. Hollywood Supermarkets, your neighborhood grocery store. Hollywood Supermarkets, giving you so much more. Hollywood Supermarkets, your neighborhood grocery store.
We're for people, the pioneers, the underdogs, the players, and the slow and steadies. We're for people, for who they are and who they could become. Yes, we're a bank, and some say our business is all about money, but that's an old idea. Because look past the money, and you'll see real human lives. We see it, because we're for people. Huntington, welcome.
They call me Prospects. Since the day I was born as a diver's watch, the challengers of the world have taught me many things. Life is not a numbers game. It's about challenging ourselves. No matter what happens, just follow your heart. These pioneers drive our generation forward. Not by setting records, but by never giving up. Keep going forward. Prospects.
Available at Lucido Fine Jewelry.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for me to recognize the family of the game, brought to you by Huntington Bank. Tonight's family is the Cabatis Stafford family from Novi. What a lovely picture of everyone, but the family of the game brought to you by Huntington Bank, the Cabatis Stanford family. Congratulations, you guys. Hope you're enjoying the game. Jeremy and Dan, it's getting kind of close. It's going to be a good one. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Chelsea. Good looking family there by some nice scenery, huh?
Mm-hmm.
First pitch to TJ Riles up top. It's Riles, Harris, and Cuevas, your Zach Hart agency three-men duo.
Also, huge inning here for McKendall.
Sure is.
If he can get through the fifth with a lead and, emphatically put the Beavers down here after his team took the lead, that would just be huge for the rest of this game for the Mammoths.
Pitch count 57 as well, so it takes a little stress off this arm potentially as this game goes on. You're going to want as much length as possible out of Ben McKendall, and likely for Ben, this is it this season.
Sure.
So it's not like there's a concern in terms of, we're going to pitch him on short rest or something 3 days later. I mean, the last game you can possibly play is Sunday.
Right.
So that's a big factor. TJ Riles going to be recorded via the strikeout here in the fifth. His 21st of the year. He's 0 for 2 thus far.
Well, you kind of look at games like this if you're Paul Nickabrugga or if you're ever really managing any playoff game. You look at this when you're in their type of situation and you say, am I trying to manage to win this game or am I trying to manage to win 3 games? And I think he's taken more of the track of the 3 games, and he's going to want to have his starter here go as deep as possible and save as many arms as possible to win these next 2.
And through for Romero Harris. Pretty good swing. His first time up, no result, just a fly out to left. That along with the nice defensive play, sliding play and a sinking ball to right field and the doubling off motion over to first. See if this offense can get going. There is some light tossing by Tasker Strobel happening now in the Mammoths pen. He has been a guy who has taken over for the Mammoths in some not so easy situations, but has done a good job. And around this point, in a 7-inning game, you got to adjust your thinking now all of a sudden. It's 9.
Oh, yes.
It's like, where did that come from?
Imagine if this was one of these 5-inning games on a Saturday. This would be it.
This one popped back to the screen. Shanti Wheatley and Ron Williams Jr., your Zach Hart agency men, due up next here in the 5th inning. So a walk in the second, double play, a 2-out walk in the third, a line drive, and a 2-out double in the 4th, and then a line drive has been the limited damage in action and how Ben McKendall has gotten out of it thus far. Cuevas, ground ball to third base. His first time up. So Tasker Strobel continuing to warm.
He may come in, when there's some lefties threatening possibly. That's kind of his specialty.
Haffey watches it out. It's not a big crowd. It can't be, but they're getting into it a little bit here tonight.
Yeah, definitely. You kind of look at the Beavers with the top of the order. They've got Ron Williams, a left-hander, Freddie Geely, a left-hander, Weimer, who's a righty, but then Comer, who's another quality lefty after that. That could be the time where they go to Strobel. Which, if McKendall can get these next 2 outs, he'll get through the 5th, which would be huge.
Talked to Von Joshua about Cesar Cuevas, and all the results just aren't there. 167 at the plate. He has put a charge into 2 home runs, so he feels that if he starts going the opposite way a little bit, not trying to force it to the pole field, because he's shown he has that power. He's not saying don't hit it to the pole field, but he thinks if he expands his horizons a little bit at the plate, he can be a good hitter.
He's pretty rotational. You know, you look at his swing, and guys like that who start open and kind of land and use their hips to turn on the ball hard. That's, you know, a pull-happy hitter. They hit the ball hard to left field, but they don't really hit with much authority to the opposite way. It really takes a change not only in mindset, but also in mechanics.
Good AB here in a big-time spot. Hikes the pitch count up to 67 for Ben McKendall with that runner on first base. Seven walks to 15 strikeouts this year for Caesar. He's driven in 4 runs. Subtle lead by Harris. Swing and a miss. Harris on the move. And he will reach second with 2 outs. Second K of the inning for Ben McKendall. He's got 4 on the night.
Well, it's a notable result there with Harris moving up. Now a base hit gets the Beavers on the board with 2 outs.
Which in a game like this can be bigger than anybody ever realized.
Sure.
Just from a confidence standpoint.
Yes, mindset and the way you approach the later innings as well. If you're, you know, within 1 or 2 runs, it's altogether different than being down 3. Just in terms of what the manager thinks about doing.
Jonathan Brandt, Alec Allred, and Jalen Smith, the 3 available off the bench here tonight for Vaughn Joshua. They ever pinch hit, you'd think it'd be Jalen Smith.
Right.
Out of that group. Smith doesn't run all too bad either, so he would be a good candidate for a pinch run situation if you needed some speed out there.
Sure. You know, if somebody like Haffey is the tying run or something big like that.
Popped him up. Haffey backpedaling and captures out number 3 here in the 5th. Great job by Ben McKendall after a couple long at-bats. And the 1-out single to strand Romero Harris at second base.
When you need emergency care, you want your hospital to be ready for whatever comes through the door. Ready for any injury and any illness. Ready to respond at the speed of emergencies. That's why McLaren Macomb built a new emergency department. With advanced technology, clinical expertise, and 68 private exam rooms, we're Macomb County's largest emergency department, and we're ready for you whenever you need us. That's emergency care at McLaren Macomb. That's doing what's best.
When you are in need of air conditioning services, turn to the experienced professionals at McQuaid Heating and Cooling, Plumbing and Refrigeration. Since 1970, we've been delivering high-quality air conditioning installation and repair services. Call for a free estimate today. Let us help you be cool and comfortable. For comprehensive HVAC services, contact McQuaid Heating and Cooling, Plumbing and Refrigeration today.
A 7-batter inning against that man right there has put this Mammoths team on top. In the top of the 5th inning, they got 4 straight singles. McCoy plated the first 2 runs, and then the sac fly by Alec Oland. Will Johnson right there, and Landon Barnes were the only 2 men not to bat. Them and Ross Haffey will be your Zach Hart agency men due up in the 6th inning. Johnson again playing left field here tonight for the Westside Woolly Mammoths. Struck out looking in the first. A fielder's choice back in the 4th as well. And a whittling, sinking single.
I'll take it.
It hung up there, but nobody in real reach of it. He says, yeah, I meant to do that. Why not?
Mammoth's getting right back after it.
Will Johnson, one of the better personalities certainly here in the USPBL. Always fun to talk to. Some good baseball bloodlines there. His grandfather played in the Negro Leagues.
Love to hear some of those stories.
Yeah, absolutely. He says anytime he talks to Johnson, it's always, the old school type of mindset. You got to play hard. You got to
That's right.
give effort, and you love to hear that, certainly. Charles Johnson, his grandfather's name.
Good baseball name. Of course, the former catcher of the Marlins, Charles Johnson.
Yeah. Another good swing by Landon Barnes. Boy, he's found it all of a sudden.
Yeah, he's got 3 good swings tonight.
And we saw this middle to late part of the season where Landon Barnes started seeing pitches better. He's tapered off a little bit lately, but he's had 3 swings, and he could have 3 hits. One hung up there long enough for Romero Harris to get it off a dive.
Yep.
And that was ultimately the double play to end the 4th inning. But, boy, if they get that bat going, if they get this bat going, and if Garrett Keeper chips in like he has here today, this can be a dangerous middle of the order.
No doubt. Haffey, of course, played quite a few games for the Beavers this year as well. And was a Beaver last year.
Jared Price continues to warm for the Beavers here with runners on base and no outs in the 6th inning. Pitch is not entirely an issue, but you got to look past that a little bit. I mean, every pitch a little bit more high leverage than in a normal game, obviously, in a 1-game wild card type scenario. And he's had a lot of pressure pitches the last few. Had a leadoff double in the 2nd as well. Comer, nobody covering the bag. Otherwise, they could have had a shot at throwing out Will Johnson there.
Looked like a missed sign of some sort to me.
And now the home plate umpire is saying that Johnson has to go back to 2nd.
Why would that be? He's getting the explanation now, but I can't imagine what that would be, unless it's somebody called timeout. Guessing there must have been a timeout. I can't imagine. It's got to be no pitch. Can't imagine there was an interference situation, because normally that would just mean he was out, wouldn't it?
Yes, certainly in that case. And we'll not get a...
We need to mic up these umpires.
Yeah, we do. Swing and a miss. It keeps the runner at 2nd base, and 1 out. Things look a lot different now.
Yes, they do. Instead of first, third, nobody out, now we have 1 out, and they're still at 1st and 2nd. As far as the steal itself, you could tell that he went on his own. The backside runner didn't go and seemed just as surprised as anybody else that he went. It wasn't that great of a jump, really. Comer looked like he could have got him.
Well, for a guy coming off an injury and missing a week, granted it's only a week, but these guys don't get a whole lot of at-bats throughout the year just with how the games are structured and how some of these double-headers have fallen, but couldn't get a better swing for Garrett Keeper for a single in the 5th. Kind of swing that he'd love to have every time, I think. Primarily a singles hitter. Has not had an extra base hit this year for this West Side team. Has been their primary shortstop ever since opening day, as he went a little too far on that one. The changeup at 78 for strike 2. Nice pitch. Strike 3. Ticket to the dugout for Garrett Keeper. That's back-to-back strikeouts for Garrett Crispin here in the 6th inning.
Another very tight slider there, sharp break, and starting to settle in here pretty good. You know, he got into a little bit of trouble last inning, but he certainly doesn't look like a guy who needs to be taken out of the game right now. Some exciting neck wear there for Cullum.
Didn't see it. What is it?
He's just got some nice chains on.
First pitch is off the plate outside. Single back in the 5th.
Is that a cross bat and ball combo?
It might be, or an A. It's hard to tell.
I used to wear a number 20 because that was my both my football number and my baseball number, but 2020 has been such a downer of a year, I decided to stop wearing it.
Really?
Yeah. I'm going to let my 20 sit the rest of this one out.
Throw it away. 1-1 on Cullum.
I expected 20 to be like the luckiest year ever because, you know, that's my number.
I'm sorry.
Well, it's all right. I got to sit next to you and watch 71 ball games.
Here's the 1-1 swing and a miss. 1-2 on Cullum, and wow, again.
Just caught him sleeping. He just took off. He was intent on running there at some point.
You could hear the stampede of footsteps in a fairly silent ballpark here as that puts runners on first and third with 2 outs. Now Cullum with a job to do. Single to run scored back in the 5th. Good job to lay off that one all the way into the glove. The slider off the plate.
These Mammoths are going to be aggressive on the bases. That's just the way they play.
Now Johnson has to use his acrobatic legs to get under that one. Says, man, I had third base. Now they took it back, and now I took it.
Took it twice.
And now they're trying to take my legs out.
Of course, with 1 out, it's a lot more valuable time to take third base than with 2 outs.
Complexion of the inning certainly changed. Here's the 2-2. Whittled on the ground to Cuevas. Over to first base, and a good job again by Garrett Crispin to get out of the jam. Allowed 2 singles to begin the 6th inning, then a strikeout, and a ground out.
Piloting a hot air balloon is my wife's passion, and she couldn't have a better wingman than my Chevy Equinox. Its stylish design rises above the rest, and with its 4G LTE Wi-Fi plus great gas mileage, Equinox keeps us connected mile after mile. With my Equinox, the sky isn't the limit.
Lease a 2020 Equinox LT for just $280 a month. Put in a D and see why Chevy drives the Motor City. Visit ChevyDetroit.com.
Take a look at our playoff bracket, brought to you by Our Credit Union and Motor City Casino Hotel. This game today, the number 4 seeded Westside Woolly Mammoths and the number 3 seed, the Beavers, the Hoppers, probably watching intently here tonight. They're the number 2 seed, and we'll take on the winner of this game tomorrow at 7:05. And the Unicorns waiting patiently on Sunday to face whomever comes out of the Hoppers game.
Did you see the skipper, Jim Messian, before the game?
I did not.
The people were ribbing us about our suits. He was wearing a nice looking suit with a purple pocket square.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the whole, I guess today it was the Mammoths down the first base line as the visiting team here tonight. They were all saying, oh, look at the suits. You know, and good fun, obviously, here today. The guys having some fun and a little loose attitude heading into the playoffs here today.
Well, we got our new set of baseball cards today for 2020, presented by Chief Financial Credit Union.
And just opened a pack.
What do you think? How'd you do?
Got Eric Jones. I got Dazon Cole.
Oh.
Got Zach Gray, your Triple Crown winner. I got JJ.
Oh, you're getting all the good ones.
I got Freddie Geely, and I got Bobby Comidis.
All right, it's a pretty good pack. I'll open mine up here too. Let's see how I did. It's our high quality foil here. It's not easy to.
I tell you, the last year's too.
Look at this. Somehow I took. There we go. I took off one layer of foil. Now it's got a nice little checklist on the back. Uh-oh.
Barnes to bobble.
Oh.
And the leadoff runner on, Ron Williams Jr. here in the 6th inning.
That could loom large. Oh, look at that. I got a Bobby Comidis right off the top of the pack, too. Alec Craig, Miguel Cirino. I got a Zach Gray as well.
There you go.
Cam Comer, that's another good one. I got a JJ. All right, it's a good-looking picture of JJ here. More of a close-up face shot than last year's cards.
1-0 on Freddie Geely here.
I'm pretty happy with my my pack here. It's all players who played this year, with the exception of, it looks like there's some of the guys who've been signed by MLB organizations from prior years, also mixed in. Randy Dobnak, Spencer Stockton, Eric Jones, Alec Craig, Luis Contreras.
Some good names.
Yeah. Looks like it is, let's see here, 26 total cards, I believe, in the set. 26 in the full set.
Not bad. And Contreras and Noah Goetze were a big part of the Hoppers 1-2 punch last year. Noah Goetze's trying to stay healthy down the stretch. Here's the 2-1. In there for strike 2, the fastball at 85. Fastball velocity a little bit better than the last start, just average 84. And a start that lasted not even a full inning of work for Ben McKendall. On the ground and through. Nice approach there by Freddie Geely. And now the 2 leadoff men are on, turning it to the heart of the order here with no outs.
It's going to get interesting. Don't change the channel, folks.
Don't close the stream.
Yeah. What are you supposed to say now? Don't log off?
Don't lose your internet. We had horrible luck the other day. There's some construction in our house, and they said, "Is this the internet line?" I'm like, yes. They cut the wrong cord.
Did they really?
And it was gone. Yeah.
I would very clearly say I have no idea.
It looked like the only one going in that direction,
Right.
but I was obviously wrong. As Ben McKendall has a chat with Paul Nickenbrugge and the whole infield. Ross Haffey at first today, Landon Barnes at second, Garrett Kieber at short, and Alec Oland over at third base. Joey Weimer, Cameron Comer, Sam Troyer. Your middle of the order here today, brought to you by Zach Hart Agency. I talked to Joey Weimer, or I talked to Vaughn Joshua about Joey Weimer. And he's not ultimately too worried about, his struggles this year. Says, number one, he's got to swing maybe a little bit less hard going forward to the next level. He's confident somebody with the Brewers will make some adjustments with him, though, as he says there's some good coaches and roving instructors in the Milwaukee organization. But he also said, hey, look, power, in a sense, at the big league level, even in the minor leagues, is kind of the last thing to come for a lot of hitters.
I think you're trying to draft tools, and they certainly did that when they picked him up.
There's a line drive right up the box for a base hit. Best swing we've seen in a while for Joey Weimer, and that loads the bases for the Beavers now here in the 6th.
Don't log off.
Vaughn even talking about his time in the New York Mets organization. He was at AAA coaching when Mike Piazza was coming up, and he said Mike did a lot of that. More of a line drive hitter.
Sure.
They took a swing that was huge and loopy and made it a line drive hitter, and then obviously the power came as he went on in his career. Big spot for Cameron Comer. Hit one the opposite way into the gap in left center field that hung up there. And as Dan kind of mentioned, hard off the ground. Didn't exactly look like it might hop over the fence, but it did for a ground rule double. Cameron Comer has reached twice. Walk back in the first inning as well. Ron Williams Jr. trying to scamper home. He's your lead runner here. Weimer on first, Freddie Geely on second. Nobody out. Base is juiced. Your best hitter this year up. Driven in 17 on the year. Good plate discipline to lay off that one. High and away, 87-mile-an-hour fastball, 2-2. Tasker Strobel was warming earlier. There is no action down in the pen right now. I think you see another batter get on. There definitely will be. Swing and a miss and a big-time pitch for Ben McKendall here in the 6th inning as he gets his first out.
That's for sure. Now he's got a shot at getting a double play and getting out of this inning.
4 strikeout of the game, none bigger.
Especially with such a good hitter at the plate like Comer. Going righty on lefty with a power guy who's swung the bat pretty well lately. It's a big strikeout.
Here's Sam Troyer. He's 0 for 2 today. 6-4-3 double play and a line out to center back in the 4th. Has struggled since he came off the injured list. Missed 5 weeks with the broken hand. Actually a couple weeks sooner than the diagnosis called for. So that was a welcome addition for this Beavers team. If nothing else, to get another solid infield glove out there. And by far, he was their best hitter. I mean, the Beavers were struggling offensively, as most teams were in the first month of the season, and he was really the only guy hitting.
Oh, yes.
Took a 400 average to the injured list.
You know, had he not got hurt, I think they probably wouldn't be playing in this game right now. They, you know, may have set themselves up differently for the push to the playoffs. You never know for sure.
And Vaughn Joshua said, look, I mean, you can't really be surprised that he struggled, because you got to remember, the day he was cleared, he was back in the lineup.
Right.
I mean, there was no, I'm going to take swings for a week and try to
Sure.
get back into game form.
Yeah, he was definitely felt healthy.
Good job to barely lay off that one. 2-2 on the Beavers' third baseman. Vaughn even went as far to say as, I had a very similar injury in my playing days, and it took me a long time to get back into the flow of things, because you can't hit. I mean,
Right.
it's not one of those injuries where you can potentially hit a little bit or just stay loose. I mean, he can run, obviously, with a broken hand, and throw BP, as we saw.
Yep.
Here's the 2-2. Line drive up the box into center. It's going to get down in front of Briggs. One around to score. They're waving the second. The play at the plate is on line. The tag, not in time. What a slide off the plate by Freddie Geely. And just like that, it's a 3-2 ball game.
That was a great slide. He just avoided the tag. I think, you know, from a pure throw standpoint, it beat him, but it's so important to have a good slide there. slid to the backside of home plate. Looks like that'll be it for McKendall.
TJ Riles due up next for the West Side, or for the Beavers here on the USPBL Network.
My education here isn't just academic. This school wants you to be the best you that you can be. If you really want somewhere that can inspire you, who you want to be in life, this is the place to be.
Detroit Mercy. Build a boundless future.
Throughout your life, from big moments to ones well-earned, we're your financial guardian angel. Alliance Catholic Credit Union.
All the opportunities I've been given, I would not have been able to get at bigger universities.
Here, the professor cares about your success and is willing to work for it with you.
So much preparation for the future.
I couldn't imagine being anywhere else.
Detroit Mercy. Build a boundless future.
'91 pitches deep for Ben McKendall. He is pulled for Tasker Strobel after the first 3 batters reach. This looks a lot like how the Mammoths got it going. I mean, they had 4 straight singles. Here in the 6th, it's 3 straight singles. The first 2 have scored with Joey Weimer, the third, standing at third in the first and third situations. 2 runs in, 1 out, and Tasker Strobel taking over.
Well, it's easy to second guess yourself when you're a manager. I think, you know, Paul Nickenbrugge certainly thought about going to Strobel, maybe even before this inning started or possibly a couple of hitters ago, but it was important to their long-term success to try to get as much out of McKendall as possible. And now they're going to go to that bullpen, and this is the strength of the team, and it's a big spot here for Strobel to try to get out of this inning.
TJ Riles bats with runners on the corners here in the 6th inning, and Tasker Strobel looking to play hero as he's done several times this year out of the bullpen. 91-mile-an-hour fastball straightens Riles inside, so that's a change of pace. And as you see these 2 teams dip into the bullpen, most likely it will be. Thinks about bunting.
It's interesting. You know, if you bunt it hard at the third baseman, the man on third can read that and score pretty easily. What's known as a safety squeeze, not a suicide squeeze, but a safety squeeze where the runner can go back if it's not a good bunt.
Was that Strobel trying to tip the next opportunity maybe from Riles?
Could be. That's interesting. Interesting thought.
2-0 is away. Obviously, if you're squeezing, you're not going to necessarily show it as you would with a sacrifice.
I don't know that they would do a suicide squeeze in this situation, but, you know, the safety squeeze is something that obviously he was thinking about.
In for strike 1.
Another thing you can do, which is really aggressive, but if you're Weimer and if you're Troy over at first, you can do something where he intentionally gets picked and Weimer takes off on the pick, you know, which is really aggressive.
On the ground, through the glove of Garrett Keeper, back to square one. It's all tied at 3.
Who would have thought? For one, at one time during this game, we certainly didn't think McKendall was going to be the first starter to come out. You know, it looked like he was really firmly entrenched in there. But the Beavers battling back.
Had not faced more than 4 batters in any inning until the 6th inning here. Now it's 6 and counting with only 1 out. Another runner in scoring position. That man right there, Sam Troyer. And Romero Harris, who had a single back in the 5th inning coming up. There are some comments, I think, questioning whether we're playing 7 or 9. It is 9 innings all the way to the championship game now. Williams has scored. Geely has scored. Weimer has come around and touched the plate now.
That certainly looms large, you know, this being the bottom of the 6th inning.
Fluttering ball to center field. Briggs reaching out. He can't get it. It's going to trickle all the way towards the warning track. Comer's around to score easily. Here comes Ryle speeding his way around. He notches the second leading run for the Beavers here today. Romero Harris with a big hit.
Briggs went all out to try to steal that one, and you want to play hard, you want to play aggressive, and you know you can't fault him for doing that, but it probably cost him an extra run there with the ball getting by him. Had he taken a different angle to that and just kept it in front of him, I think, you know, the 1-run scores, but the second one doesn't. But got to give him props for laying out there. He's just trying to make a play. Certainly a big hit.
Boy, you're right. Who saw this coming? 8 hits for the Mammoths, 7 hits for the Beavers. Big time smile for Romero Harris, a guy who struggled throughout this season, but down the stretch run has seen a little bit of improvement in terms of the hits he's delivered in, and he's had a couple big hits down the stretch. Jared Price still looming. This one in for strike 1.
I'd be surprised if they started the next inning with Price. You know, it looks like Chrisman's kind of settled in. You know, pitch count seems to be in decent shape.
77 thus far.
I think if you get the chance to hand him a lead, you want to at least, you know, try to see if he can run with it.
Look at how spread out this infield is. Haffey nearly hugging the line. Olin certainly is, and Barnes trying to hold on that runner at second base. Otherwise, he'd be in that prototypical second base spot, which these days, there's not as much shifting in the USPBL, but what is a real position anymore?
Right.
Here's the 2-2, low and in. 3-2 on Cesar Cuevas here.
Of course, they've talked a little bit about having quote-unquote illegal defenses and
what are your thoughts on
Major League Baseball? I don't know. I could kind of go either way. I think there's some precedent for it because there are things you can't do defensively in other sports. But I also think hitters need to learn to be more well-rounded.
Absolutely. I mean, you're telling me, especially a Major League guy can't hit one the opposite way
right.
when there is nobody to the left of second base?
I mean, you flat out can't bunt. I mean, I know, you know, you look at someone like Victor Martinez, how they played the pull so hard on him when he was hitting left-handed. You know, had he just learned to be even a below-average bunter, he would have got through that easily.
And some guys would be able to get a double out of it.
Sure.
I mean,
well, yeah, I mean, he couldn't run a lick, so he wasn't going to get a double. But
sure,
you know, even if he could just softly bunt a ball in the general direction of third base, it would have at least made him think twice about playing that shift. And don't tell me that the defense is fine with quote-unquote fine with giving up a single to certain guys. That's not true. You're not going to give up. You're not fine with giving up a single every time a guy's up there. That's a 1,000 slugging percentage, 1,000 batting average potentially. If they take that every single time, you're not going to allow anybody to do that.
That hit Wheatley. So Strobel busting him inside a little bit too far, puts runners in first and second, and they've officially batted around as Ron Williams Jr. comes up.
Well, Strobel going lefty on lefty here with R.J. Williams. He's got to try to get out of this inning here.
Ron had a single to begin this hitting party. And he's got another one. Romero Harris being waved around. They're going to test it here. Johnson on corks. He's going to be able to score. Now they're going to send another run. Wheatley, the ball's loose, and he scores standing up.
Well, it's something we saw earlier in the game as well, but it happened to the Beavers, and now it happened to the Mammoths. Just a play at the plate where they had a really good opportunity to throw the man out at home and just sailed the throw. As an outfielder, you really have to think about and concentrate on throwing that ball through the cutoff man. If you miss low, the man has a chance to cut the ball, or if it's offline, he can cut the ball, but if you sail it like that, there's no recourse.
Ron Williams Jr. ends up at third base as well, and it looks like that's it for Tasker Strobel in this game. Gives up the double to Romero Harris, the single to TJ Riles, the strikeout to Cuevas, the hit batter to Wheatley, and the single to Ron Williams Jr.
At Priority Health, we're embarking on a new normal, embracing the changes needed to keep Michigan safe. While that may look a little different for everyone, Priority Health is here to help. With access to the care you need, the doctors you want, and the quality coverage you can afford. So you can get back to this, and this, safely, steadily, and with the smartest health coverage possible.
From the very get-go in your major, you are doing things involved with your major. And they really do a good job with finding professors that not only know what they're talking about, but know how to teach what they're talking about.
Here, the professor cares about your success and is willing to work for it with you.
You get the intensive care from each professor. You get the interactions with different students both in and outside of your major.
There's always something happening on campus. There's always something to do. Go visit campus and really experience everything that campus has to offer. Once you do that, it makes up your mind for you.
Detroit Mercy. Build a boundless future.
10 batters in the inning and counting, but the big mark 7 runs later.
Mm-hmm.
Who would have thunk it? 7 runs here in the 6th inning. They've batted around, and Freddie Geely will get a second crack at a single. Romero Harris was able to do just that. And that's the best fastball you probably will see tonight at 95, unless it's coming from this man.
Well, yeah,
swing and a miss.
He could throw in at 97, of course, but
there's another 95 and lifted foul.
You know, the Mammoths are now in a spot where they're going to their best arm, and they hope it's not too late. Cole obviously needs to hold this thing right here, if at all possible, and hope that his offense can rally again.
0-2 swing and a miss.
Ooh.
Wow.
Nothing fancy there.
Fastball, fastball, fastball. 95, 95, 94. Quick work and an easy strut off there for Dazon Cole. Now time for your Metro Detroit Chevy Dealers race.
Those Motor City wheels are messing around, waiting to get the call to go downtown. La 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 taking some time and having some fun, waiting to get the call that it's time to run.
Holy Hot Rods, it's race time. Chevy Detroit wheels, start your engines.
3-car race here, Dan.
Oh, boy. I'm going to go with Petey Pickup. I'm going to stick. He was my hot hand most of the year. I'm going to stick with him here in the playoffs.
Petey Pickup looking like he might trade some paint here today. He's getting close to Bella Air there, and uh-oh.
Oh, boy. Petey's getting distracted by something over there.
Is he running out of gas? Is he spinning out? What's going on?
Or maybe he's just showing off. I don't know.
A little zigzag motion there. Ooh. Bella Air kind of taking the outside approach here, too, as she approaches Cam Comer in a high five behind the plate. Bella Air chugging the arms. Petey Pickup along the outside. Bella Air still hanging on and with a string able to win it here today. Your Metro Detroit Chevy Dealers Mascot race goes to Bella Air here today. Jared Price, your Hoffman Dental pitching change in the 7th inning. And no, it's not over.
Nope.
We're playing 9 here today if you're just tuning in.
Jared Price certainly used to coming in the 7th. I'm a little bit surprised that Chrisman didn't come back out, just for the record. I thought, with the lead now, they would give him a shot to maybe run with it. Not sure. A lot of things could go into this decision, though. Von Joshua could be thinking about having him throw an inning on Sunday if they got there. That could be in the back of his mind. Of course, you have to win this one first, or he may just feel confident going to Price in the spot with a clean inning.
First pitch to McCoy at 91, popped up to Williams.
It's a great start.
It is. And this is another guy who can get close to 95, so maybe I was a little
sure, he can.
Close with that. I mean,
he's a tick down from Cole usually.
His top pitch has been 95 this year. He does average 92 on the fastball, so that's where he's more so around.
And this Dre Jones, he sure looks like a physical specimen, doesn't he? He just looks scary when he gets into the box, just strong, big. I remember one of the first games we saw him, he hit just a mammoth home run.
He did. That was the one of the left center field gap?
Yeah, hit the ways up the scoreboard, as I recall it, or a ways up the light pole. It was one of those two things. I think we thought we'd be seeing a lot of those from him, but as it turned out, that was his only home run. I think he did start to get better as far as not chasing pitches. He was chasing a lot of pitches back then. He looked a little bit weak on off-speed stuff back then, and I think he's improved some of those things.
Swing and a miss and a 92-mile-an-hour fastball upstairs.
The question for the Beavers now is this Price's game to finish? Can he go 3 innings? We haven't really seen him do that a whole lot.
In his last 10 appearances, his longest 2 innings, he's done that twice, back on August 20th and the 27th.
That's a nice pitch there.
2 up and 2 down.
Good slider. And if it's not Price's game to finish, who's the next guy they go to? It's not a real deep bullpen, as we mentioned before, with the Beavers. A.J. Coleman's definitely going to start the next game, you would think, if they do finish this one out, so I'm sure it's not him. Amani Godfrey possibly would be a candidate for that. He's pitched some high-leverage situations out of the bullpen before. Or they may just stick with Price here and say it's his ballgame.
Ball 1 delivered to Alec Oland. Price on the year, 17 walks to 29 strikeouts. He has 6 saves. Not currently in line for that. It's a 4-run spread. That would be quite the emphatic 7th save, though, for Jared. 27 innings on the mound this year. So the K per 9, not bad. It's 9.5. The walk per 9, not where you want to see it as a reliever, 5.6, but he's certainly had some games where he's looked like he's dominating hitters. Had some stretches of scoreless streaks. Just trying to put it all together. And what better game to do that? And in a one-game elimination format when your team's up 7-3 off a crazy 10-batter inning.
It's all about the big inning, especially in pro baseball. People would be really surprised if they saw the numbers on how often the winning team scores more runs in one inning than the losing team does in the entire ball game. It happens a lot. That goes into a lot of the new philosophies too. Eliminating or limiting, I should say, the big inning is a lot of what teams think about defensively.
2-out base runner here brings up Lamar Briggs, trying to salvage a run or 2 after the diving play in the last inning. Scored a couple. Certainly can't fault the aggressiveness. Wipeout curveball. little bit too much break. Cuts off the plate outside, 1-0. Price retiring the first two batters he faces here in the 7th inning. A pop out and a strikeout, then the walk to Oland. And the 91-mile-an-hour fastball high to Briggs. He's ahead in the count 2-0, and this is not where you want to see the lineup turn over. Will Johnson on deck and Landon Barnes following him, and he's had 3 really good swings so far today.
Certainly a big at-bat here for Price. If you can get Briggs here, it puts you in much better position for the next 2 innings.
So a change of tempo from the velocity standpoint for these Mammoths hitters as well. Chrisman, a guy who averages 87 on the fastball. He was more 88, 89 today in this high leverage game. If the Beavers do have a magical run here, it'd be interesting to see if they try to bring Garrett Chrisman back. The one thing that raises a red flag for me is that in this league, you generally have more time off in between a start than any other because you're not playing every day. So guys aren't even used to pitching every 5th day, let alone, you know, bouncing back from a Friday to Sunday. Not to say
this
that
year
won't happen.
This year especially was easier on pitchers doing the 7-inning games. You know, you didn't stretch guys out nearly as much. I think it was good, you know, from the standpoint of having smaller roster sizes and keeping guys healthy, keeping guys fresh when they didn't really have much of a spring training, so to speak.
Nobody throwing currently for the Beavers. It's just a quick pep talk there from his skipper, Vaughn Joshua. Alec Olin on for the first time today, despite some productive at-bats before the 7th inning here. Drove in the 3rd run in the 5th inning, and boy, it felt like that was a comfortable lead at that point for the Mammoths, didn't it?
It sure did.
The Beavers had other thoughts right after that. Whittled on the ground, third base side. This might be enough. Price gonna eat it, and with the speed of Will Johnson, the bases are loaded again.
That's the kind of ball where you should just let it roll. That one probably wasn't going to make it to the line no matter what. It wasn't close enough to the line, but you don't really have a play on it, so you may as well just let it roll.
Could he do the unthinkable here?
He's had good swings. This is not a guy you want to see with the bases loaded. It's a really, really big at-bat here.
He doesn't have a home run this year. He doesn't have an extra base hit this year until today. The leadoff double in the 2nd.
Well, I don't think he's going to hit a home run now. Of course, it'd be exciting if he proved me wrong, but he's swinging the bat really well, and a base hit could score a couple of guys here and change this ballgame again. Got a pretty good runner at second base. Keandre Jones moves pretty well for a big guy.
Ahead in the count, just behind the 92-mile-an-hour fastball. He's looked early in the count every time. First pitch double in the 2nd, first pitch line out in the 4th inning, and the 0-1 single in the 6th as well. Here's the 1-1. Through to right field. 1 run around to score. Here comes the 2nd. The throw is off target again. And sliding in is Lamar Briggs. My goodness, what a day for Landon Barnes.
We got ourselves an exciting ball game here, I'll tell you what. Another high throw there, but I don't think that one really made the difference. I think he was going to score on that one regardless. But now we've got a 2-run game. Don't count these Mammoths out.
Ross Haffey coming up. He had a single and a run scored back in the 5th. A pop-out and a strikeout. Otherwise, 2nd home run go-getter in the league this year. 10 last year, 5 this year, behind Zach Gray. You could see he wanted to swing at the first pitch, just couldn't pull the trigger. There's Amani Godfrey tuning up.
Well, we figured he would probably be the next guy. Of course, ideally that would have been in the 9th inning, not the 7th.
2 straight breaking balls to begin this at-bat to Haffey. All this production coming with 2 outs, a leadoff pop out and a strikeout here in the 7th. That slider with a spin rate of 29-24. That's a lot of break on a slider.
Yeah, he's got a sharp slider. He really does.
And he retires Haffey here in the 7th. The second strikeout. 2 runs do score. And it's a 2-run ball game again. Time for your 7th inning stretch. Send it to the public address announcer, Dan York.
Me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I never get back. Let me root for that team. If you don't win, it's a shame.
7th inning stretch brought to you by Genesis Credit Union and Dazon Cole pitching in a, it's always a high leverage situation when
definitely.
Your team is on the line, but even more so now with the lead down to just 2 for the Beavers.
Well, I think elimination situation like this, I think you're going to let Dazon Cole go. I think he's the type of guy who can stretch out when you need them. He's a great athlete with a strong arm, and I think you give this game to him and see if he can get your team across the finish line. You need a little more offense, though. It's turned into an exciting ballgame.
And we've said that multiple times.
Yes.
Dazon Cole, 1 batter in the 6th inning. He took over for the laboring Tasker Strobel, who took over for McKendall. First batter he saw, and the only batter was Freddie Geely. He struck him out on 3 pitches, 95, 95, 94 on the radar gun.
I think we've seen so far that the managers have tried to push the right buttons, certainly, with some of the pitching decisions as far as leaving a guy in, not leaving him in, who to bring in, when, and sometimes those decisions work out, sometimes they don't. And, that's really what managing is about. And especially when you're in a situation like this, you're not just thinking about one game. You're not just thinking about winning tonight. You're thinking about the next 2 days also. And that makes it really tough.
Weimer chases that one into the glove, 1-1. He had a single back in the 6th inning. Really solid line drive. 88-mile-an-hour off the bat hit for the center fielder. When Weimer first got here, or at least got with the Beavers, because he was one of those guys on the taxi squad along with Xavier Warren, there was a 2-week stretch where both Warren and Weimer were playing together on the Beavers, and that looked to be a pretty dangerous mid of the order. That was 2 were split up after Warren went permanently to Paul Nochi and the Hoppers, and now he's their primary catcher. But Vaughn Joshua put him in left and then put him in right, and there was one game where he wanted to put him in center after Romero Harris was kind of struggling at the plate. And Vaughn said, from that moment, I realized he's going to play center field for the rest of the season. Just on how good of jumps he got. And even if he didn't, that really good speed allows him to catch up to balls gap to gap. Also joked with me. My conversation yesterday did Vaughn. He said, well, if Joey can't figure it out at the plate, he can always become a pitcher because he's got a really good arm. But, mostly joking.
Be one of the faster pitchers you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Reminds me of when, was it Anthony Ghost started pitching?
Yep.
Ooh.
Swing and a miss. Back-to-back strikeouts for Dazon Cole, that at 93. That's a 93-mile-an-hour fastball with spin of 2,400. 2,400 spin is the average on a Major League curveball.
Yeah, and he's got he throws a two-seamer, I think, at least most of the time.
Yep. And one of our listeners didn't believe me when I said that one of our guys here, I can't remember who it was, threw a 97-mile-an-hour two-seamer, but Dazon Cole is a living example. He's thrown a 98-mile-an-hour two-seamers so far this year.
Most of his highest velocity stuff was early on in the season. I think he was just out there kind of cutting loose, not really thinking quite as much about his mechanics and his command and things like that. We've seen him more in the 93 to 95 range for the most part after that, but I think with better command and better mechanics.
Mm. 95, a little above the letters, and that's exactly what they want Cam Comer to do, lay off that pitch. He struggled with it at times this season, but one of the reasons why he's been doing better is because he's been driving that low and in pitch that he likes so much.
Yeah, if he's going to advance in his career, he's going to see a lot of fastballs like Dazon Cole's, and you're just not going to catch up to that when it's up in the zone. Like that one there, you know, he did okay to foul it off, but it's not a ball he's going to catch up to and drive probably.
And he's considered, if not the best position player prospect right now in the USPBL, right up there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, taking out the affiliate guys.
Sure. Yeah, left-handed hitting catcher with some pop and a good arm.
Leads the pitching staff pretty well. They've been working with him on the exchange and getting the ball out of his hand or his glove a little faster. One of the lone guys, though, that is stuck as the primary everyday catcher with the team that he started with. Xavier Warren has become a pretty good one as the season has gone on.
Yeah, he's ended up catching, I think, more than we expected. I think he's someone we expected to maybe move around the diamond a little bit, some third base, some DH, but really catching almost all the time.
Oh, 0-1 count here on Troyer. The pitch is inside. Actually, Scott Capers chiming in, one of the catchers that has led this Mammoths team throughout the year. He says they're actually four-seamers for Dazon Cole. They just tail.
Oh, well, there you go.
So that's something that we learned from a primary guy.
I guess I can't help but wonder how much they would tail if they were two-seamers. Probably more than he wants. It would be hard to control, I guess.
Sam Troyer swinging and missing there. That's the second out here in the 7th inning, and here comes T.J. Riles. Had the single back in the 6th inning, part of the 11-batter 6th inning that plated 7 runs. The Mammoths didn't go down without a fight, though. The next half inning, they scored 2 of their own to make this game really interesting.
I don't believe this ball game's over yet, that's for sure.
I think if you're the winning team, you're going to hope it's over sooner than later because you don't want to use too many arms.
Yeah, you want to save some pitching.
Cam Comer on first base. He walked with 1 out here in the 7th. Dazon Cole has struck out 3 of the 4 batters he's faced thus far. Here's the 1-1. Popped him up. Johnson has a good read, then backs up. No problem in the end for the 3rd out here in the 7th inning, and a good job by Dazon Cole to strand the 1-out walk here in the 7th inning as he navigates through the heart of the order here on the USPBL Network. Stick with us.
Be a part of the game. Be a part of the family. Be a part of the magic. Join the USPBL season ticket holder program and be a part of all of the best moments at Jimmy John's Field. Why? Because 2021 is gonna be fun. Purchase a 2021 season ticket holder plan or renew your existing plan today.
Welcome back, everyone. Now, I am holding the trophy that all of these teams are hoping can have their team's name carved in at the bottom here. And for the past few years, it's only been the Unicorns and the Beavers that have been able to have their names carved onto this trophy. If this weekend is going to be anything like the game tonight, you guys are sure in for a treat. It's quite a battle between the Mammoths and the Beavers tonight. So who's it going to be? I don't know. I'm just as excited. I hope you guys continue to tune in, and hopefully I see some of you here down at the ballpark. So look at this beautiful trophy. Who wants it? I know JJ does.
Thanks, Chelsea. It's a heavy trophy.
Yeah, it's a good looking one.
Jared Price working his second inning here, so maybe your thoughts are exactly in the mind of Vaughn Joshua, at least trying to get 2 innings out of him here.
It was a little bit of a tightrope last inning, that's for sure.
Retired the first 2 men he saw pop out in a strikeout. Then the walk to Alec Olin, he came around to score. The walk to Lamar Briggs, he came around to score. The single by Johnson and the single by Barnes plated them. And then the strikeout to Ross Haffey in a high leverage situation, certainly with runners on first and third and 2 outs. Got him out of it. He'll face 6, 7, 8 here in the 8th inning, brought to you by Zach Hart Agency. It's Garrett Keeper, Isaiah Cullum, and A.J. McCoy.
Yeah, I think, Von Joshua looking at this and seeing the bottom of the order and just, hoping Jared Price can get him through one more. I think if he gets in some trouble, though, he's definitely going to make a move.
Monty Godfrey, more so standing in the bullpen right now. He's been throwing the last few innings. 91-mile-an-hour fastball. Ron Williams Jr. tracking it for
That's
out number 1.
Certainly going to help his cause there.
Seems like Ron gets a lot of pop-ups down the first baseline, doesn't he?
He does. Comfortable with it, though. Certainly a guy who plays the outfield and really plays all over.
Von Joshua has admitted that he's not really your prototypical first baseman, and if Freddie Geely wasn't their second baseman, that's probably where he'd be.
Right.
We have seen him at second base a little bit. Geely has been in and out of the lineup a little bit with some injuries here and there. Nothing too serious, but first base, second base, third base, maybe shortstop here and there. Can't quite remember, but some outfield as well.
I think if Austin Shoemaker would have stayed healthy, that certainly could have changed things for the way that they look all the way around the diamond.
He was playing first base as much as he was catching, which makes sense as he kind of settled in on this Beavers team after the taxi squad went away. With Cam Comer primarily catching. That's why we've seen Alec Allred get a call. His 3rd stint in and out of the USPBL overall, just as catching depth. Seen him in the first game of the last 2 doubleheaders this Beavers team has played. Pretty good at-bats in this game, though.
Yes.
And we've talked about how the at-bats have improved as this season has gone on.
Really a lot of evidence pointed to this being a low-scoring game, too, and it didn't play out that way. You have both teams' best starter going, of course.
Tough play, stops it. But an infield single for Isaiah Cullum, his second base knock of the night.
In addition to that, with the starters, you look at this Mammoths bullpen, and I was just taking a look at some of their numbers against the Beavers, and they just had outstanding numbers against the Beavers during the season. Everybody, when you take McKendall out of there and you just look at the other guys in their pen, plus Jared Wright, who's kind of a swing guy between starting and relieving. They had a .76 whip among those guys. They had well over a strikeout per inning, only allowed 2 earned runs total for a .77 ERA. So it just looks like, strong evidence toward this being a low-scoring game between Chrisman, who's, the pitcher of the year on the Beavers side, and then the Mammoths with that bullpen. And then you throw in the fact that McKendall had a pretty good start.
Did not allow a hit until the 4th inning. It was a 2-out double off the bat of Cameron Comer. Just a 1-out single in the 5th. Otherwise, he only faced 4 batters there, but things just took a turn. The 6th inning for this team, and who knows if this was a 7-inning game. Maybe he doesn't even see the 6th inning at all.
Sure.
Maybe still, given the situation that your pitching will be in, if you have to play 3 straight days, he would have been out there if he looked the way he did. But
yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, it's you may go, if you're the Mammoths, you may have McKendall go 5 and then go directly to days on Cole in that situation, and then you're looking at something a little bit different. Certainly, the 9 innings changed things in this ball game, no doubt.
Here's the 1-2. Fly ball to right. Harris was playing way in, has to backpedal for out number 2. Well, certainly chime in with us on Facebook and YouTube on the comments section. Tell us where you're watching from. You're in the USPBL network. We've gone and touched most states.
Yes, we have.
Just a few left to cross off our list. We hope to do that before or by the time the championship game is set and done on Sunday.
It's been a really solid viewership all year. Certainly we appreciate it. And I don't know if you saw that article in the Detroit News this morning talking about our broadcast a little bit, averaging about 10,000 total viewers per game and getting up as high as 14,000 at times. Just tremendous, and I think far exceeds what we were expecting. Multiple platforms, of course, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter.
Twitter added lately, the last couple weeks. Here's the 1-1. Pretty good curveball there for strike 2. Keandre Jones today 0 for 3. He's got a ground out and a pair of strikeouts in his last 2 ABs. Amy Wales says, "Go Mammoths," watching from Australia.
Speaking of Scott Capers, certainly wish him the best of luck in his return to affiliated ball with the Texas organization.
Absolutely.
Certainly did a good job here in the USPBL. Strong defensive catcher. Hit the ball really well, too, while he was here.
Sure did.
Cleanup hitter for the Mammoths most of the time. Strong receiver.
Ended up with a .324 average through 34 at-bats. Showed some pop, 2 doubles, 3 home runs. 6 RBIs.
Hope to see him someday at that new ballpark in Dallas.
That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Haven't had much of a chance to give that a good look yet. Of course, the MLB games on TV don't quite look the same what they used to. I would visit at least one ballpark a year, most years.
What's your favorite so far?
This is going to be a boring answer, but I really think Fenway. Just a great combination of kind of the old school and also really good updates that they've made there. Have you been there yet?
I have not, no.
It's a really good one.
Fly ball to right field. That's going to chase Harris towards the line and catch it for out number 3. Nothing becomes of the 1-out single. here in the 8th inning. Still 7-5 in favor of the Beavers.
With us, you can expect something more. More guidance.
Do you trust me, Mom?
More dedication. More commitment. So you can celebrate today and be prepared for tomorrow. Insurance through AAA. Expect something more.
We build roads, bridges, wind farms and pipelines, schools to skyscrapers. Our members create monuments. We operate. We're the operators and mechanics behind the advanced heavy machines that move Michigan forward. We maintain boilers and HVAC. Our members run the complex heating and cooling systems that we all depend on. Our training is second to none, and safety is our priority. We are Operating Engineers 324, and we keep Michigan running.
One thing that makes Detroit Mercy unique and different from other universities is that the faculty truly care about you and they're always there to help. Whether it's asking questions after class or going into the office hours, they're always there to lend a hand and really make you feel at home.
People are here to work together, and whether like you have a question or you're discussing topics within the class, you can go up to your professor and they know your name. They're just willing to help you become a better overall student.
Detroit Mercy. Build a boundless future.
Dazon Cole on for another inning of work. Third inning we've seen him. It was just one batter back in the 6th. He has struck out 3 of the 6 he has faced thus far. Some good hitters as well. Freddie Geely, Joey Weimer, Sam Troyer all going down via the K.
Yeah, as we expected, they're going to let Dazon finish this one out and try to keep him in the ball game here. And they'll have one more shot at it in the 9th.
Romero Harris, a double back in the 6th and a single in the 5th. Seven, 8, 9 due up for Vaughn Joshua's team. The slider looping in for ball 1. Good fastball velocity here today, and probably averaging 93, 94. Came out with gas to Freddie Geely, the only man he faced to strand a runner on third base in the end. An inning that already plated 7 runs.
That didn't sound too good.
And he agrees.
Yep.
Looks like a new bat. A guy like Dazon Cole can do that to you.
Oh, yes. Between the velocity and that tailing action on his fastball, righty can get it on the hands pretty hard.
We haven't even talked about the slider much today because he hasn't had to go to it for the most part, but that gets 25% swings and misses. An additional 13% called strikes for a called strike plus whip percentage of 38. Changeup gets him some called strikes. He only throws that 8% of the time, but you got to think this guy is going to end up back in affiliated ball somewhere.
Oh, yes. You know, speaking of that Detroit News article again, that they estimated somewhere between 5 and 6 guys possibly signing an affiliated ball after this season. I would expect, you know, primarily pitching probably in that group.
Swing and a miss.
That almost wasn't fair, that pitch.
4 strikeout already for Dazon Cole. He came in 14 walks to 33 strikeouts. Skied out of play. So who was more pumped up by that walk-up music? Was it Dazon or Caesar? Dazon was bobbing to it.
That's got to get in your head if the pitcher enjoys your walk-up music.
We've seen that. I can't remember who it was last time. We've seen that recently. Wow. Easy gas. 94 in for strike 2. Cuevas trying to prevent the hat trick here. Dazon has other thoughts.
There's really not much you can do with that pitch.
3 strikeouts for Cesar Cuevas tonight on the last 3 at-bats. Shanti Wheatley trying to prevent the strikeout to the side here in the 8th inning.
And he's been on base twice tonight, a walk and a hit by pitch.
Not your prototypical designated hitter, but the speed at the bottom of the order provides some value. It paid off in the 6th when he came around to score on a hit by pitch in the end.
Well, you look at the guys on the Beavers bench, and they're, your best defensive infielder probably with Jonathan Brandt, and Alec Allred just kind of a depth catcher. And as you mentioned earlier, if you are going to make a move with a guy, it's probably Jalen Smith, as far as somebody who's going to hit for you or run for you.
Wow, what a pitch there. 81-mile-an-hour slider. Wheatley had his elbow turn as if to turn away to potentially get hit there. 2-2. Fly ball to left field, sending Johnson back to the warning track. And that one is caught out there.
That ball jumped off his bat pretty good. He reacted to that ball in, and it jumped. I thought that was out of here off the bat.
1-2-3 inning in the end, though, for Dazon Cole. Strikeout line out. It's all up to the Beavers to close it out here in the 9th inning. Let's take a look at some of the highlights this year that have made the big screen. It's the Jalen Hurt truck Sal Giacomintonio play.
Oh, boy. Poor Sal. And Derek Hurt felt bad, too.
Derek Hurt, a good guy. Jake Hoover also making Sports Center this year as well with some outstanding plays. There's multiple plays this year, even in the span of a week, where he could have made it twice.
Definitely.
And here it is.
For me, the favorite part of this one is Maselli having to jump over him. Especially because he looked like a frog, in the hoppers. It was just too perfect.
Amani Godfrey coming on in this game to try to get the save.
Probably not the exact way you draw it up if you're the Beavers. Godfrey hasn't really been a quote-unquote closer type, but he has thrown some high-leverage innings. Extra innings multiple times. I think they went to Jared Price maybe a little bit earlier than you would typically want to, especially in a Garrett Crispin start. Good opportunity here for Godfrey to carve out an important role here.
2-3-4 due up. Brought to you by Zach Hart Agency. It's Briggs, Johnson, and Barnes. A reminder to tune in tomorrow, back on the air at 6:50 p.m. as the Hoppers take on the Beavers, question mark? That'll be decided here in the 9th.
Well, they'll have to go through the heart of the order.
Stick around for the post-game show as well, sponsored by Auto Lab. Chelsea Estes will check in with our Comcast Business Player of the Game. Mar Briggs looks at a straight fastball in for strike 1.
Godfrey's a guy with pretty good stuff. Low 90s fastball and gets a lot of swing and miss with both his curveball, slider, and changeup.
Popped it foul at 92. So some rising velocities as this game has gone on as well.
First hitter here, so important. especially when you've got a 2-run lead.
Four-seam fastball used 44% of the time. I might get the two-seam for Godfrey. Slider 24, and that's up the gut for a base hit off a 91-mile-an-hour fastball. Hold everything as the tying run comes to the plate here in the 9th inning. Why not some more dramatic at-bats?
That was just a laser.
Off the bat at 90.
And to Godfrey, it probably felt like 100 coming back at him like that.
Will Johnson has reached base in his last 3 plate appearances. Fielder's choice, single, single. Each time on the single, he's been stranded at third.
Looks like the slider there. Not real sharp, kind of backed up on him a little bit.
Good pick. Just got to get in front of him whatever way you can. If you're Cam Comer here.
And really, it's not the run on first that you have to worry about so much. It's that guy at the plate. You know, it's a 2-run lead. You really got to concentrate on the man at the plate if you're Godfrey. Also, as a defense, you really have to think about the guy at the plate, too. In other words, if there's a ball hit in the gap, you're not really thinking about that lead runner. You're thinking about where the hitter's at, trying to keep him off second base.
John Murphy warming up in case he's needed in the bottom of the 9th inning. Here's the 2-1. Fly ball to right center field. Weimer. Good track on it. For out number 1.
And that is a big out. Hot hitter coming up, Landon Barnes. And then a big power guy up next, Ross Haffey. Really needed to get an out there. That was a big out.
Double, single, single. RBI in his last at-bat. 3 in the 5th, 2 runs in the 7th for the Westside Woolly Mammoths. They have out-hit the Beavers by 4. It's 12-8. Nasty. First strike 1. Really hasn't mattered what pitch they've thrown Landon Barnes here today. He's gotten on top of a breaking ball, straightens out some fastballs as well. Here's the 0-1. Another one in for strike 2 at 80. Back-to-back sliders. A pitch that he gets a lot of cold strikes on.
And that's been the way pitchers have attacked Landon Barnes for the most part. Tonight he had some real success swinging early at fastballs.
Whittle the opposite way, and he does it again.
Yeah, he got one there. That's a mistake pitch there by Monty Godfrey. If you want to throw him a fastball there, that's okay, but it's got to be off the plate. It's got to be a show-me pitch. You don't want to throw him a fastball in the zone there.
Landon Barnes single-handedly is trying to make sure this is not the last game for the Mammoths this year.
Yeah, he's having a terrific day.
My goodness, you wouldn't want another guy up in terms of one swing of the bat to get you back in a game and give you a lead.
Yeah, you don't want to make a mistake here.
Single in the 5th, that's it. A strikeout and a strikeout and a pop-out in his other 3 at-bats. Beavers fans on the edge of their seats.
Can't really pitch around Haffey here either, because if you walk him, the tying run makes its way to second base and the go-ahead run goes to first.
Uncomfortable looking swing from Haffey. He's had a few of those down the stretch.
Yeah, he's got to have some patience here and realize that Godfrey's going to try to hit spots and possibly get him to chase.
Haffey has been working through some things with his swing. Has cooled off a little bit in the second half of September. He's driven in 22 runs this year. Good enough for the team lead on the Mammoths. Now all those RBIs have not come with this Mammoths team because he was on the taxi squad for the good portion of the first half of the year. There was a stretch in the middle where he played for everybody, it seemed like, on a rotational basis in 2 weeks. Here's the 1-2. Just getting a piece of it barely, the last 2 pitches there.
I'm a little surprised that the Beavers haven't adjusted their defense at all here. Situation with the tying run on first and go-ahead run at the plate, you really want to do whatever you can to prevent an extra base hit here, which is playing a little bit deeper, having your corner infield guys a little closer to the line, having your outfielders a little bit deeper.
Just high. 91-mile-an-hour fastball. Godfrey wanted it for the second out.
That was a pitcher's pitch. He just missed. Not by much at all.
Briggs at second can get them within 1. Barnes at first can tie it. This man at the plate can give him a lead. The 2-2 spoiling on spoils here in the last 4 pitches, and it's at bat here in the 9th inning.
That's a great spoil by Haffey.
Garrett Keeber, your Zach Hart agency man on deck, and then it would be Isaiah Cullum. 5, 6, 7 in the order for Nickenbrega here today. The 2-2 again. Line drive to left, going to get down. They're going to send the runner around third base. That's McCoy. And don't look now, but it's a 1-run ball game here in the top of the 9th inning.
And it's really the pitch before that made that at bat for Haffey. He spoiled the slider that was a little bit further out. Godfrey had to come more to the center of the plate on that one. Stayed back and drove it into left field. A really nice at bat there for Ross Haffey, where he stayed within himself, didn't try to do too much. Now his team's a hit from a tie ball game all of a sudden.
Ross Haffey was a Beaver last year. Lost to the Unicorns 5-3 in the semifinals. That's where Ty Hensley threw a complete game. 9 innings. His first of his career at that point. He's had a ton of those this year in 7-inning games. I'm sure he had a few if we were playing 9 all season long.
Definitely.
Barnes, the tying run, now moving to second base with just 1 out. He's moving to third. Nobody there to cover, and he slides in safely.
Wow. And that is a big play. That's the tying run with 1 out getting to third base. And it was not a called double steal because Haffey's still standing at first. And he's not the type of guy that's going to move up on his own. You know, he just doesn't run that well. It'll be a little bit of a risky decision.
Big time TCF Bank stolen base here in the 9th inning.
Keep in mind the Beavers can still get out of this now with a double play.
1-1 in for strike 2. Fastball away at 92.
Beavers certainly playing back in the middle here, looking for the double play ball to end this game.
Keeber with a single in the 5th. He came around to score. He's 0 for 3 in his other 3. High and away. It's been a laboring inning for Amani Godfrey. His pitch count at 21. All that matters is that base runner right now, though. And the one at first and the one at the plate potentially. If the Mammoths can crack through for another lead here in the top of the 9th. Swing and a miss. Godfrey with a big fist pump into the glove for out number 2.
That's a big strikeout. He induced a chase from Keeber there, a pitch that was not especially close to the zone, really, but it was close enough to get him to chase.
Well, we've talked about the consistency for this hitter here today. He's got 2 hits. He had a 5-game hitting streak 2 games ago. He was hitless in his last 2 before his single back in the 5th. He scored 1 of the 6 runs. He'd love to deliver the 7th, standing at third base. Just 2 RBIs on the year, but it's a guy who's been trending upwards with this right-handed bat. Outside. Oh. My goodness, what a scoop by Cameron Comer.
That's a ball that you really can't block. It's so far out, you really have to scoop it with your glove. That's the only way to stop it.
Every rep pays off at this point. 2-0 to Isaiah Cullum. the catcher out of need down the stretch for the Mammoths. He's DH'd quite a bit in September. 2-0 line drive to center field. Joey Weimer backing up. He's got it. And the Beavers will stream out of the dugout. They squeak by in this game and win it 8-7. Deep sigh of relief.
Man, they strung every bit of emotion out of that ball game. Just a really terrific ball game that played out in a manner that I don't think any of us really saw coming. You know, it's not really the way you draw it up. If you're the Beavers and you expect to win this game today, you expect it to be Garrett Chrisman dominating and, you know, pitching really deep into the game and having a low-scoring game and all those different things, and that's not the way it played out. But the Beavers got it done, and they'll live for another day. We'll have a very familiar foe tomorrow with the Hoppers, who they've seen many times this year.
The number 3 seed and the number 2 seed will match up tomorrow, and we are assuming it's going to be Jamon Taylor on the mound for the Hoppers. We'll preview that matchup a little bit later, but after the break, we're going to send it down to Chelsea Estes. She'll be with our Comcast Business Player of the Game after this on the USPBL Network. Stick with us.
Looking for a great rate on a new vehicle? Introducing our credit union's Drive promotion with rates as low as 1.89% and no payments for 90 days. Or refinance and save on your current auto loan with our 1% lower guarantee. You can now get pre-approved and close a loan remotely with our convenient online application process. Stop in today or visit ourcuonline.org/drive to drive away happy.
We really were fortunate to get out when we did. Losing our family photos, our wedding pictures, can't replace it.
Can you imagine losing everything you've got? You realize that it's the little things in life that matter. Things that they thought were damaged and thrown away, all of a sudden they magically reappear. And you see the human spirit come back.
It's our pictures.
To be able to put you safely back in your home matters to us. People matter. People count. At Belfour, we're restoring more than property.
There's nothing better than a ball game at Jimmy John's Field and a cold beer from Midland Brewing Company. Hi, I'm Kyle, the head brewer at Midland Brewing Company, here to wish you a stellar time making memories at Jimmy John's Field. And we hope that you're living it up with a Copper Harbor Ale in your cup. You can find more of our selections here at the ballpark and around town at your favorite bottle shops too. We hope you have a ball at the game, and remember, enjoy responsibly. Let's play ball.
What makes Detroit Mercy so unique is the fact that it's in the middle of Detroit, and especially with their service learning programs, you really get a chance to be a part of the community.
Detroit Mercy. Build a boundless future.
As we continue to respond to COVID-19 in our communities, Ascension Michigan is with you in this, and we are doing what matters to keep you safe in our care. At our hospitals and sites of care across the state, Ascension Michigan has additional safeguards in place. We are limiting visitors, ensuring proper social distancing in our waiting rooms, offering more online visits and performing rigorous procedures to clean and disinfect. Our care teams are delivering babies and performing surgery. Now more than ever, it's important not to delay your health care. Schedule your appointments. Make sure children are getting their vaccinations. And if you have an emergency, don't wait. Go straight to your closest Ascension ER. Thank you for continuing to protect yourself and our community by washing your hands, wearing a face covering, and social distancing. Our doctors, nurses, and staff are ready for you when you need us. This is what we do best.
All right, welcome back, everyone. It's time for the end of the game recap brought to you by Auto Lab, and I'm here with the player of the game, Romero Harris, brought to you by Comcast Business. We're all smiles here tonight as the Beavers managed to pull off a very, very exciting game. I was holding my breath a little bit. I can't imagine you guys. Fantastic. I mean, let's go over some stats for you. You were 2 for 4, 1 single, 1 double, 2 RBIs, 1 run scored. I mean, let's just talk about you out there tonight on the mound, or on the out there. I can't speak.
Hey, it's playoff season. You know, it's time just to forget about like the rest of the season if you're doing good or bad, and just show out tonight. So just take it. Thank you. So just take it, you know, each at bat at a time. So
you did. You had Garrett Crispin on the mound tonight, but this is how our playoffs work. You guys, you know, first round, you got to play tomorrow night. So 1 game away from that win, and then 2 wins away from going all the way. I mean, what's the Beaver mentality, knowing that you still got a little ways to go, but this win was a nice cushion?
I think that we're definitely playing with a big chip on our shoulder. We've lost to the Hoppers quite a few times. We've lost to the Unicorns quite a few times. I think it's just really time for the Beavers just to show out. So I'm excited for tomorrow.
I'm excited tomorrow. Those Hoppers, you better watch out. I mean, I do, though, before we move on, have to give the Mammoths some credit. Their energy tonight was, I could feel it.
They had a lot of hits.
They did. I think this is probably one of their best games that they've ever played. So just, you know, this is your first year here, too, at USPBL, and you get to go to the playoffs in round 2. What's it been like for you, your experience here this whole season?
It's been great, you know, not really thinking that we would actually have a season, you know, this summer. So it was great that we were able to come out and play as many games as possible. You know, I've been taken care of greatly while I'm here with my host family. Shout out to Brandon and Sarah LaPrice. But yeah, no, I've been treated very, very well since I've been here.
Well, let's go. We're so glad you're here. The Beavers are glad you're here. I'm looking forward to seeing what you and the rest of the team bring tomorrow. Don't forget, we have the Beavers and the Hoppers tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. It's going to be a good one. I got a good feeling about it. All right, Dan and Jeremy, back to you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chelsea. Quite the game overall. One of the best probably we've seen this year. 7 runs off 8 hits and no errors for the Beavers. 6 runs off 14 hits and 2 errors for the Westside Woolly Mammoths. Here tonight, they'll face the Eastside Diamond Hoppers tomorrow. Your thoughts on that matchup?
Well, you know, you look at the Beavers on the one side and just a outstanding, exciting game tonight, but you take a look at that bullpen and you take a look at their pitching staff and you wonder, you know, how are they going to get through this next one with the Hoppers, who are sitting tonight out. And really it's going to come down to A.J. Coleman. You know, is going to have to give him a really good start, and he's certainly capable of doing that. He's been strong in the second half of the season. A lot going to be on him tomorrow. You know, there's not a lot of bullpen depth there, and, you know, some of it was certainly used tonight. Certainly have to give the advantage to the Hoppers, you know, with regard to that. They've been sitting, and they can line up their pitching the way that they want. I got to believe they're going to go with Jamon Taylor. He's probably been the most consistent, healthy starter, and that's probably who we'll see tomorrow. I think the Hoppers are probably the best lineup in the league still, the best overall, you know, well-rounded team. So I give them an advantage tomorrow. But, you know, that being said, I'm sure it's going to be another great, exciting ballgame like tonight was.
And maybe there's a little bit of a chip on the Hoppers' shoulder because they won outright, or they were tied with the Unicorns heading into the push to the playoff standings. Now, given the Unicorns did have the better overall record when you put everything together, September and the games, the regular season before that. But, you know, it was a tie. It was an automatic win for the Unicorns because of the fact that they won the regular season. So even if they went to overall games, they still would have won.
Right.
But still, it was a team that was chasing them and the Beavers really all year long, and they felt pretty good about what they put together in September, and ultimately, you know, didn't get the 1 or 2 points they needed to surpass, but it's going to be an interesting game tomorrow and an interesting championship on Sunday, too.
That's for sure. You know, the Unicorns have the pitching. You know, that's really the strength of their club. The Ty Hensley, the MVP of the league, is going to be their starting pitcher on Sunday, and they've got a great bullpen, especially if you drop Bobby Comitas to the bullpen as they are in this situation, and Don Goodson and Nolan Clenny, and it's going to be really tough to beat them on Sunday when they can line up all those arms. But again, as I already said once, I think the Hoppers are the best overall team when you consider the full roster and you consider the offense. So I'm excited to see them tomorrow night, and I feel like we've seen a lot of the Hoppers against the Beavers already, but you know, I'm excited to see a big game for 9 innings with those two teams tomorrow. It'll be interesting.
Well, for the whole crew here today, Christian Gibbons, our director, Jeremiah Hergott, our graphics operator, our fine cameraman here tonight, my broadcast partner, Dan Griesbaum Jr. I'm Jeremy Addo. We will see you tomorrow, 7:05 first pitch, 6:50 pregame for the Hoppers and the Beavers in the USPBL semifinal. Have a great night, everyone.